Y'all niggas got me hot. Yeah. Nah, niggas got me hot. Yeah. Yeah. Said. Hey, well that's exactly what the nigga came for. You throwing shots from afar. I'ma meet you at your front door. So hard to be doing what you really meant for, beauty. But don't I make it look easy? Don't I make it look good? Hey, now you drank up all my liquor. Come on, what I'm supposed to do now? And you stop getting all that shit. Now come on, you gon' have to back it up. If I get too high now, sugar, come on, I might never come down. I might never come down. Let me get down. Come on, you might not ever come down. Let me get down. Hey, you might not ever come down. Wanna get down. You might never ever come down. It took too long to get this high off the ground. Don't run, just stay away. Come on, can't beat it, can't beat it, can't beat it, can't beat it with the big bag though. Can't see it with this bitch black Gucci frames on. Let me take these bitches off. Let me get the full scope. Hold up. Full screen HD. Let me take another picture. Let me pull it to the pre-show. Whoa, cool beans. That's a whole lot of reefer. Let me help you with the pre-roll. You drank up all my liquor. Come on, what I'm supposed to do now? And you stop getting all that shit. Now come on, you gon' have to back it up. If I get too high now, sugar, come on, I might never come down. I might never come down. Let me get down. Hey, you might not ever come down. Wanna get down. Hey, you might not ever come down. Let me get down. Come on, you might never ever come down. It took too long to get this high off the ground. Don't run, just stay a while. You might never ever come down. It took too long to get this high off the ground. Don't run, just stay a while.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? What's going on? It is Talk That Talk Tuesday. We are here right now. You see everybody on the screen. This conversation is so important. I had to get some of the all-stars in this building tonight from all places and different races up in this thing tonight to have this conversation to make it fair and balanced. All right. Tonight, I'm going to go ahead and introduce everybody, and then we'll get their thoughts, and then we'll move on to the show. All right. First in the building, we got, you know them, man. You've seen them before. We got JT from What We Know Podcast in the building tonight.
What's going on, man? What's popping?
Absolutely. What's going on? We got grooming and reviews 101. New face in the place. If you didn't see him last week, you see him today. What's going on, my guy? How you doing today, man?
What's
Good
going
to
on,
have
brother?
you here.
Thank you.
All right, man. All right. Give me just a second here. All right. So anyway, and then we got Reckless Ray De Niro in the building tonight. We got our Pain in the building tonight. We got Beautifully Animated in the building tonight, holding it down for the ladies. We got Mr. Bennett in the building. No Captivity with Freezy, baby. Is in the building tonight. We got Illuminated Revelation in the building tonight. We got John the Baptist in the building tonight, baptizing everything. All right. I'm so glad that he's here. Now, guys, look, we're going to do something different. We tried something last week. I think it was amazing. We're going to continue to try. We're going to add things to other segments as well to the show on Tuesday to make it more interesting. We have Dr. Nkumbe in the building tonight. And while we're having the conversation, right after we have a conversation, we're going to get a clinical perspective. And we're going to have the doc come up and give it to us from a clinical perspective, not an emotional perspective, not a what we think perspective, but from a clinical perspective. So watch out for that. After we do each segment, he'll come up and he's going to bring that heat. So thank you, Dr. Nkumbe, for being here tonight. He's in the back, fired up and ready to go. All right, JT, man, I don't want to, think I know how you guys' week was and how you guys are doing. How's the weekend? So I want to get everybody's mind, see where everybody's at tonight and the vibe and how y'all feeling. And then we'll move on to the show. JT, how are you doing tonight, my brother?
Man, I'm doing well, bro. I'm doing very well. Just came back from a hiatus. We had our family reunion, man, here in Detroit.
All right.
It was a 3-day success. 3-day success, man. $30,000 budget. And it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Man,
y'all had the t-shirts, right?
We had the t-shirts.
It's not family reunion without the t-shirts.
It ain't family reunion without the t-shirt. Meet and greet. We had a boat ride, man. We on Friday. We had the picnic on Saturday and church on Sunday, man. It was dope. It was dope, and it was a major turnout, man. Major turnout. So yeah,
That's
I
great.
did. I'm doing well. I'm sore as all outdoors, man. I injured myself, pulled a hamstring playing kickball. But it was a beautiful thing, man. Family is important.
You always gotta have sports at the family reunion also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You muted like you muted every time.
My bad.
What? He was had some bars was dropping.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna drop them again. I said, hey, listen, man. You're gonna tell us that. You're gonna tell us that you pull a hamstring playing kickball, but we know what you was doing. You were scratching another muscle and got it caught up.
Hey.
Yeah. Look at him. Yeah, let it out, brother. It's okay. We here for you. All right. So, but yeah, JT, thank you for being here tonight. We got grooming and reviews in the building, man. How was your day and how was your weekend, brother?
It's not bad so far. Just working in the hot kitchen and cooking away, doing my thing.
All right.
Nice.
Reckless Ray in the building. What's going on, my brother?
Better than I deserve. Having a wonderful day. I'm up from a nap. I took my vitamins and I had grapes. I'm ready for this conversation.
Absolutely.
Wait,
no captivity.
Man, I know you ain't gonna skip that. What did you cook, grooming?
Oh, go ahead, groom.
Tell him about you cooking and he didn't tell us what you fixed.
Oh, today was baked chicken with mushrooms, homemade gravy, and rice. Wild rice, by the way.
Okay.
I know how to chef it up a little bit. I know a thing or two.
All right. Put it down.
All right. Appreciate that. We got, listen, his name is Mr. Bennett. He definitely finna jump in it. Mr. Bennett, how was your day? How was your weekend, my brother? I know you say you're going out of town, right?
Now I'm staying local. I'm staying local here. I know this week we've been working with a sort of a client of mine. He's getting ready for a fit test. So he had me out there on the track. I felt like Apollo Creed trying to train Rocky in Rocky 3 afterwards. So I'm not feeling very good right now because I had to get out there and try to race him. And I'm like, I'm in my 50s. I'm not supposed to be doing this stuff anymore. So
wow.
But you mess with me, I'm gonna have to get out there and do a little something. So he's sparking some sparking some juices there that maybe the tank isn't empty yet. So I'm gonna have to, and this guy's 16 years younger than me, so I still got to help him. So
Nice.
yeah.
All right. Our Pain in the building tonight. Our Pain. Give it to us, man. How was your day and how was your weekend, my brother?
Man, the day is pretty good. Can't complain. My cable's out, so I'm on my phone. So if it overheats, I might have to get off. But so far, so good.
And don't you hate when that happens?
Yeah, man. We had a
You
severe
really
thunderstorm.
respect the connection when you don't have it. Ain't that something?
Mm.
That'll preach right there. That'll preach.
Yeah. So my phone. Hold on, before you go, my phone's on an angle. So if I get a wide shot, you guys can see a picture on my wall, just so I can, co-sign that I do have a picture on the wall, at least somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? You know what I don't want to see, our Pain, because we know you used to be a stripper. Everybody, if you don't know,
You guys don't want
used
to
be
see
a
that.
stripper. His stripper name was the Big Dipper. So y'all don't want to mess with our Pain tonight.
We don't have any mirrors in my house. They're all broken.
Don't put that image in my head.
All right, we got beautifully animated in the building tonight. Animated, how are you, sweetheart?
I'm good. Just been chilling with the family.
Good. All right, thank you so much, sweetie, for being here. Illuminate Revelation, how are you tonight, my brother? You're muted.
Doing good. Just doing a little research for tonight's topic. Found a lot of things that people might be interested in. Don't want to get off too much topic, but it fits right in.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for being here. John the Baptist, how are you tonight, my brother?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm blessed. I'm next to Illuminated. I know it's gonna be a great show.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Now, before we get started, guys in the chat, thank you for being here tonight. The ones who are in the chat already, I know that we have 34 watching and 17 likes. If all of you can go ahead and hit that like button for me, that'll be amazing. I appreciate each and every one of you for doing that and being here. If you want to give to the channel, you definitely can do that with a super chat. Or if you want to give a cash app, you can do that too. It'll be posted down at the bottom momentarily. We ask that you guys be in the chat tonight. Give us your thoughts, give us your questions, give us your comments. We welcome all of it in here tonight. This is going to be a powerful conversation. But before we get started, I like to always open up with a video to break the ice with my guys here on the panel, as well as in the world out there. And so we're going to start there. And we're going to see. We definitely going to see how this works. We're going to see how this. All right, here we go. The first video is there's a preacher that was in Birmingham, Alabama. And that preacher had this to say at a meeting, and this was a few years ago. He predicted what would come, but when he did it, it was so funny. I wanted to share it with you guys. Here it is.
On yesterday, we had a historical thing that happened in the city of Birmingham. They call it historical, made history and all that kind of stuff. But I'm here this morning to talk about another his story. To me, yesterday was one of the most bizarre scenes I ever seen in this city. One of the most comedic scenes I ever witnessed in public. When I witnessed men with size 13, 14 shoes out there kissing each other in the mouth in front of little kids. It was just bizarre. It was like a freak scene going on. That's what I call it. Now, I know about the government and laws being made, but I got a law this morning that came out of Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 31. And it says, shall a man leave his mother and father and join to his wife, and they shall become one. And to have your kids out there yesterday, 6, 7 years old, holding flags, the Bible said, provoke not your children to riot. Proverbs 22 and verse 6, 7. Train up a child in the right way he should go. And when he get old, he wouldn't depart. I'm so delighted and honored that God would have me bold enough to stand here and talk about this issue. Well, all the preachers was yesterday. You know what I mean? The only time gonna make them come out them doors when they stop them tithes and offering in your church. And you can't have Men's Day no more, and Youth Day and Women's Day. I bet you're gonna have a sign in your hand with Brother Ed then. You're gonna be standing in front of the White House then. No, y'all gotta leave us alone. You know what I mean? But somebody should have stood up yesterday Ain't it funny? Everybody got a right but the Christian. So I'm here this morning to talk about my right. Because I got a right too. I can barely say praise the Lord in public now. I might go to jail. I might threaten a lawsuit on the job. You can't tell a person to have a blessed day. Ain't it sad? Y'all, I got a text this morning, gonna share it, which I'm getting on out here. I got a text all the way from Washington, D.C. And I'm gonna go on and break the news to y'all, and y'all in the back of me also. In 2 more years, in 2016, February the 9th, you won't be able to marry your partner that you play football with no more. You're gonna be able to marry your dog, you're gonna be able to marry your cat, you're gonna be able to marry your snake, you're gonna be able to marry your rat, your roaches. Some of y'all been with the roaches so long, you might well go and marry the roach. He been around your house so long, you're gonna be able to marry your broom, your mop. Ain't we going crazy in this world, y'all? Ain't we going crazy? I know Alabama made a lot of money yesterday. I know somebody else made a lot of money too. Duracell ain't got no batteries on the shelf this morning. All the batteries gone. I tried to find a battery for my radio this morning. Couldn't find them nowhere. I said, what happened? They said, Reb, they bought all the batteries last night. They celebrated some kind of way. Just bought all the batteries. What they do to the batteries don't every day. I'm going to preach that. I don't go there. You know what I mean? I don't know what they did with all the batteries. Now, Mr. Mayor, don't stop me in the hallway, you and your security team, and tell me I can't come here talking like.
Hold on. I want y'all to do something. You see the guy in the back with the suit on with the red tie? I want y'all to look in his face. He tried to stay serious, but he cracked. So I'm gonna go back just a little bit, then I'm gonna stop it. Here we go. Here we go. When he said the Duracell, the guy the lawyer back there in the suit, he cracked. All right, let me go back just a little bit. Hold on. Here we go. Oh my God.
Fifth Avenue North. I might threaten a lawsuit on the job. You can't tell a person to have a blessed day. Ain't it sad? Y'all, I got a text this morning. You're going to be able to marry your cat. You're going to be able to marry your snake. You're going to be able to marry your rat, your roaches. Some of y'all been with the roaches so long, you might well go and marry the roach. He been around your house so long, you're going to be able to marry your broom, your mop. Ain't we going crazy in this world, y'all? Ain't we going crazy? I know Alabama made a lot of money yesterday. I know somebody else made a lot of money too. Duracell ain't got no batteries on the shelf this morning. All the batteries gone. I tried to find a battery for my radio this morning. Couldn't find them nowhere. I said, what happened? They said, Reb, they bought all the batteries last night. They celebrated some kind of way. Just bought all the batteries, but what they do to the batteries don't every day. I'm going to preach that. I won't go there.
All right, guys. All right, let me get y'all thoughts on the video. What are your thoughts on the video? The Duracell got me. I was out. But what are your thoughts on the video? Anybody want to say?
What can we really say about the parents who take their children to these places?
Right.
They are voluntarily taking their kids to these places. I can't really speak. What the hell?
Somebody got YouTube playing in the background.
Well, it's not me. I have headphones on, but my problem with this is when they go at the schools, at the spas, places where you have a mix of people, and the majority don't want to see that. I worked at Gap for a time, and one of my supervisors, well, a lot of my supervisors were gay men, but all of them were respectable. You know what I'm saying? They didn't throw their sexuality in people's faces and made you look at them and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was having a conversation with my main supervisor, and he said, we don't even do that mess when we go visit our family, and especially when we're in front of the kids and stuff like that. We just don't chill. We don't need to do all that mess in front of the kids, So I know it's possible for you to be rainbow and respectful in it. It's the extremists who want to be disrespectful. And it's these parents, okay, you okay with your kid doing this? What about the people who don't want to see this? Why do we have to go to the schools and other areas where parents who have their kids don't want to have their kids seeing this? Now we know pride parties and parades and all that stuff. We don't take our kids there. When you have an event, that's giving us the opportunity to keep our kids out. You do your thing, we do ours. But stop trying to take it everywhere. We don't need it everywhere.
All right. Anybody else before we move forward? Because tonight I want to just go ahead and jump right on in it. Now I will say this before we move forward. I have 2 videos that's relevant to what we are watching. We got 32 watching, 21 likes. Guys, go ahead and hit that like button for the algorithm to bring more people in to have this discussion on tonight. Apparently, I do have the question as a poll. It says, should parents disown children when their beliefs disagree with their lifestyles? We have 79% of people saying no, and 21% saying yes. All right. We ended up having this conversation. It bled over in our conversation the other night when we were on Barbershop. It got really deep over there. And that was a great conversation. Mm-hmm. And I've listened to it a couple of times, and man, it was just so many nuggets in there. It's just so much to go in and just listen to. But I do want to say and shout out to Mr. He Said. I know he's in the chat right now. Thank you so much for coming in on Friday and leading us in that conversation. No Captivity has some powerful nuggets in there on Friday. Illuminated Revelation had some good points in there. Mr. Ben, everybody who came through, we had a great conversation. So I want to continue that conversation on tonight. And I think I have some mature people here who can have that conversation without us turning into lions and lioness in the building tonight. But here we go. I want to start with the first video. I want to start with the first video tonight of that Andrew Tate was asked this question: would he disown his child if his child became gay? And this was Andrew Tate's response when asked that question. All right, here we go. All right, there we go. This is Andrew Tate's response.
Disown my child if he was gay. I don't care, right? I would not allow my child to be a degenerate person. If he was gay in his own privacy, in his own private time, I wouldn't care. If he was a gay rights activist and he was walking around in bondage gear on a gay pride parade in public, then I would disown him. Not because he's gay, but because he's degenerate as a person. I don't like degeneracy. I think degeneracy is repulsive.
All right. Guys, what are your thoughts? We'll start with JT. What are your thoughts on what Brother Tate said?
It's funny that we use the word disown, right? When we talking about our kids, our family members. I would never disown my child. I don't care what it is that they do. I would never disown them. I don't have to disown them. Their position in my life is my child. Can't take that away. So for me to disown them, that means that I try to erase history, biology. No, they're still my child. For me to speak to them as far as what their actions are, yeah, I can do that. That's why I have a problem with people saying that they will mix up. If you love your child, you have to agree with their lifestyle and things like that. That's crazy to me. No. Mm-hmm. I've had a father. My father, when he disapproved of things that I did, he let me know that he disapproved with them. When he's not with it, he's not with it. As a child, when he had me up under his umbrella, he dictated what it was that I could and I could not do until I get to a certain age. And once I get to the age where he can't protect me anymore, then I'm on my own. That's just how it goes. He don't have to disown me. All he have to do is love me from a distance then. And a lot of people, they use love as if it's something that you can simply explain. It's not. It's subjective in a lot of ways. So when it comes down to me disowning my child, I would never even use that language when it comes down to that. I don't care what it is they did. I just don't. So I disagree with Tate when it comes down to that whole term of disowning your own child.
Muted.
Yep. The mute monster got me. Grooming and reviews, your thoughts.
Well, I agree with that. Disowning is a harsh word. Even shunning is a very harsh word. Now, if my son or daughter are respectful adults that are good to the community, good to the other ones, doesn't matter if what your sexual preference is, what you're into, none of that matters. If you're respectful and talking respect, doing the right thing, and not forcing your sexuality on somebody else, I don't have a problem with that. I have personal friends that are gay, lesbian, bisexual, and in the middle. I'm cool with them. Nothing wrong with that. Nature took their course to them. I have my nature. Do we have different beliefs? Yes. Do we have disagreements? Yes. We're both human. We have our different opinions. I just don't like it when they're trying to shove it down my throat, saying I have to accept the way it is or deal with it. No, I don't have to accept it. I'm allowed to take my child, my daughter, whoever my loved ones, and walk away from that situation. And they get offended. I don't agree with that part.
All right, thank you, Reckless Ray. What are your thoughts about the video? What Brother Tate said? You muted. That mute monster. It's on us tonight, ain't it?
I know they don't want me speaking. Oh, but for those who don't know me, actually, for those of you who do know me, I'm a cold-hearted bastard, and I'm 100% about that. Now, when it comes to the disownment piece and the context that it was given in this video, I'm on board. Like, if you want to live your lifestyle, if I don't agree with that, you got to live your lifestyle. The point where I believe in disownment, though, is if you're going to join these communist agendas that are out to destroy families, they're out to destroy this country, you are an enemy at that point. That means, because like this isn't going to stop here. If you're taking up the banner and you're walking that road, these people will not stop, because this is communism. The classes are your victim credits. These people will not stop. Eventually, they're going to want to put you off this planet for being normal. And yeah, I said it, normal. This was an aberration all throughout history. We've got 5,000 years of history. Plenty of history to look at. This was a very minute part of the population until now, until they figured out how to weaponize it. So my question is, if historically there weren't just a bazillion people who are in the LGHD TV community just running around, because A, we wouldn't have got here. B, the civilizations that were navigating like that, the Spartans, got destroyed because they didn't continue breeding. We already know what the end of this road is from a historical context, because some of the hardest core warriors on the planet did not breed and eventually overwhelming force won. Both cautionary tale and factual tale. So where did all these people come from all of a sudden, where we have this explosion to where they're just all over the place, outside of people being groomed into these communities? Because, as stated previously, they can't breed. So it's not going to stop there. They're not, no matter what you give them, they're never happy. They do not want to see, they don't want to coexist. They want to destroy. And like, I say there because if you are a part of a community and there's stuff like this going on and you're not speaking out about it, you are also a part of the problem, especially when you benefit from the rewards that said community is getting, because they are making headway. They are organized. They are pushing an agenda. And I understand people are like, it's not that big a deal. I used to be in the same boat. When you look at what's going on in these school boards, when you look at these old men who want to dress up like women and read to your children at school, when you look at these teachers who are actively promoting this lifestyle, which is counter civilization. It's counter first principles. You can't look at anything other than like, this is an agenda. These people are attacking you. They're attacking you, and they're converting your children into their soldiers. It's just like in Game of Thrones, where the White Walkers would down people, and then they'd exhume those bodies, and they became part of that army. Exact same thing. They can't reproduce. They've pushed an agenda. They went and attacked the schools, and here we are. And they're continuing to do that because we do not have influence there, and we have failed at protecting these children. I digress.
All right. Thank you for that. No captivity. And after no captivity, Mr. Bender, you can jump in. Then our pain, beautifully animated, illuminated, and John. I want the conversation to flow. So just go ahead and no captivity, and then Mr. Bender, everybody just jump in after each other.
Yeah. That video you showed earlier, it's clear that man was that man speaking in the city council. He was a man of principle. I mean, that was obvious, right? And
that was in 2016.
Right. I remember that video. And
that was 14, black man.
Oh, it's 14.
He predicted 2 years after 2016. Yeah,
you're right.
Appreciate that,
you're right.
JT.
Exactly.
And what we're seeing is fewer and fewer men who have the gall or courage to say these type of things publicly, right? And I truly believe this is by design through legislation and cancellation. It's getting to the point where it's becoming true what the alphabet community is saying, and other men who have conformed to that ideology, that men, this is a new day and this is a new world and modern day society, and men should get with the program and stop going against the grain. It's also becoming true that men such as that, myself and other men such as myself, we won't be able to combat the outer forces in this nation and across the globe. So the only power that men have, especially fathers, are in their households. The only power that men have is to police those in their own households. You won't be able to, there's going to come a time where that community will be the majority, and there's going to be a price to pay for speaking out. The best way to combat this whole situation, listen, the alphabet community is telling us this. They're telling us that we're just mad because they're taking over. So what is the only thing that's left in our power? Is your household. I believe in spirits, and I truly believe the power structure in government, entertainment, and so forth has a huge spiritual compartment as well. And if you don't think that, you're fooling yourself. This is why we have the all-seeing eye and the pyramid on the dollar bill. They've adopted a lot of principles. This is why you hear of the Bohemian Grove and other things that you might think is a conspiracy theory. So my thing is, for real men such as the guy that spoke up in city council, to wake up. Speak, keep your courage. Keep your balls about yourself. Don't be quieted. Because there are young children that want to listen. There are young children that are not that are not willing to conform to how the world is becoming. So let's save the ones we can, and the ones we can't, you just can't. That's all I have to say for now, BMU.
All right. Wow. A couple ways to take this. I'm with certainly JT. I don't believe in disownership. I think that people who advocate that or who do that, I think it actually comes from a place of insecurity. I think it comes from the embarrassment that that person may feel about however their kid turned out. I've lost count of the number of conservative people. There was actually a prominent politician back in the day named Alan Keyes, who he would get out there and he would thump in terms of these things. And he has a daughter who's part of that community. So I think for a lot of people, the idea that you could be so out front with it and then you turn out that it's one of yours who is one of the ones that you're going after. I think a lot of that is just coming from the egg that's looking on your face. Well, look, you're the one that's preaching, so if your family should be straight, but it's not. So for those who would want to take it to that extreme, I think it's more or less coming from their own insecurities and embarrassment more so than they're doing a righteous cause to disown their children. I'm just not into that. The second thing is I find it interesting from the person who's saying it. Now, I know in these spaces over the past year, this gentleman who has been, as of June, so this has been out for a minute, but he was formally indicted back on June 20th for sex trafficking. So he's talking about degenerate behavior. So he said he'd be okay with it if his son with a daughter was just gay, but any degenerate behavior he would disown. But you have been indicted on these charges. So should your parents disown you? So I just find it interesting when a lot of people who clap the loudest, a lot of times, how's your life? And to the whole issue as far as the growing influence of these communities, I believe it's so. But I will never put the onus purely on them when those who are supposed to be the right ones, what are we doing to promote the lifestyle that we know that should be better for us? So the idea is, like, I was at a get together this past weekend. It was for the first time, it was a Sierra Leone community. And it was the first time I was with a group of people of African descent, but like a part of their culture and whatnot. It was a barbecue, it was a cookout, it was a birthday party. And I was and the reason there, my daughter, her best friend is of that ethnicity. So I was there, learning more about the culture and the community and how they do things. And you can see the dynamicness of the culture. You saw the large gatherings, a lot of relatives, a lot of families, a lot of cousins. And talking to the daughters, my daughter's age group, and just talking about, okay, well, and I just want to know about what about your marriage rituals, or what are your plans? So do you plan to get married? Is this something? And it's almost to a person, every one of them was like, they weren't sure if they wanted to do as their parents and their parents did. I'm saying, but you guys have this great cultural tight-knit community, all these 30, 40, 50-year-old guys. You got the guy huddle where all the men kind of gather in their corner and they got, their session going on. You have, all these things going on, but the kids, they're not even thinking about marriage. And these like 22, 23-year-old daughters. So what are we doing as those who advocate for heterosexual marriage and that sort of thing? What are we doing to facilitate that? And that's affecting them, who certainly have a much more time. The American system is totally jacked up. We got over 50% divorce rate, almost 60% in the Black community, and 1 in 4 Black women are married. So what are we doing to even promote that lifestyle for our children? If we don't do what we're supposed to be doing, if we're not going to be the salt and light, then that's going to allow for weeds grow when your grass isn't tended. If you're not cultivating your garden, your field, then weeds are certainly going to pop up and take over that field. So I'm not with this idea of putting all the onus on those communities when our relationship to heterosexuals can't get it right. So until we start looking at cleaning up our houses, then I'm not going to be so anxious to go over and say, oh, well, they're the problem. No, we had 1 in 4 Black women marrying, 58% plus divorce rate in our community. Now that's been going on for 50 years. And those people had they may have had a role in it, but not the biggest roles we talk that we say they are. So I'm only going to go with this only so far, when it seems like just the culture itself, just society in general, marriage period, whether you're gay or straight or whatever, it's just not resonating with these younger generations. And we need to get to the reason as to why, despite the fact that these kids are benefiting from that. I mean, that gathering with all those kids about, oh yeah, I have so many cousins and everything, and this community is so beautiful and everything. But you don't, for some reason, you feel that your generation has the right not to continue it. So that I think there's also a generational gap here between what prior generations have done and built and allowed these people to thrive and to have this tight knit. I felt, not so much connected. I felt like I could have been anywhere else. I was the only, my wife and I, my family, we were the only Americans there. So you definitely felt different being there, but you could certainly appreciate and respect the culture that was there and how tight knit it was. But in another 10 years, that culture is going to be in for a major shock, because these kids are not thinking on that level of, I want to get married and have kids or whatever. They're thinking about their careers. They're thinking about everything else, but continuing this on. So I think you have larger problems that we have to deal with. This might be a component of it, but I'm not going to pin all the blame on this one particular area. We got too many things we need to clean up in our own closet. And I'll let my plane there for now.
All right. So I guess it's my turn. Listen, now, I think all the piece parts could be a show all by itself. And I think it's all part of the same poisonous tree, because part of the plan is to destroy the family so they can infiltrate. The whole movement of the rainbows has been a parasite on the whole Black community. And they've always ridden out our coast to get to where they are. And it's the so-called straight people's complacency that got us to where we are today. And it's like nobody saw the destruction coming. So even from that video from the guy from 2016, it's happening long before that. And it's okay. The first thing about my kids, I wouldn't disown them. I had a conversation with my daughters about that. They told me they were straight, and I just left it at that. But they still have other thoughts about, marriage and all that other kind of stuff. And that's a whole nother story. But it's all connected. The attack on masculinity needed to happen so we would get out of the way. The increase in female transgender and men wanting to be women is, I have my own theory that part of it is that it's tough being a man. It's not easy being a man, right? There's no safety nets for us. And I think there's a lot of men who are taking solace and comfort in trying to be women, because women get coddled in this country. So that's just part of that too. So it's a full court press. Now we're starting to see your Jess Hilariouses and a lot of women standing up. They've been complacent too, talking about what it is to be a woman and menstrual cycles and all that kind of stuff. These are all parts of the same poisonous tree. I mean, it's not separate. And so women are starting to fight back. But I tell, just like I told a couple of other women who are starting to talk about it online, I said, it's all your fault. This thing has been coming, and you guys, as soon as Bruce Jenner put on a dress and you guys allowed him to become the woman of the year and didn't say a word and championed that, what did you think was going to happen? They just had in the Netherlands, where there's been purported to have some of the most beautiful women in the world, a man won the Miss Beauty pageant. How can that be? So our enemies across the world in Africa and the Muslim countries, they really don't want to have anything to do with us because of, we think it's a theological kind of war that's going on. But one of the biggest issues they have with us is the fact that we have all this decadence going on, and all the strong men from the West are allowing it to happen. And the dominoes are falling. And we had a president who was the Black president, but actually he was a gay president. He never wrote an open letter to us. He wrote an open letter to the gays talking about, put these books talking about fellatio and stuff and making it available to, third graders. This is Barack Obama. So it's a full court press. And a lot of people don't realize when we talk about the Constitution of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that's the only thing that we're owed. That's it. And when your happiness starts to cross that line into other people's happiness, that's where we should be battling. And we're not doing that. I mean, I remember with the masks, with the pandemic, people used to have their own private enterprises, and there was people who thought they can go on my private business and not wear a mask. I said, your public rights end at my door.
Right.
So I'm not saying it's too late, but it's kind of, it's kind of theoretically, it's kind of already too late. But we're starting to see pockets of it. People, the next election, if you're black, you're going to have to make a decision whether you want to put a conservative and worrying about whether that guy's racist or not, or a liberal or in office where anything goes, where you can start marrying dogs and cats and stuff like that. So that's where the choice is going to be. The battlegrounds are being drawn. So how about kids getting their genitals cut off at 6 and 7 and 8? How could that even be a discussion?
Right.
So let me just land it there. Now, I don't know how long I'm going to last because my phone is heating up, but this is a good discussion. But, I don't know how it's gotten this far. What's the matter with all of the men here in this country?
Do you have a fan you can put on the phone?
Well, in a second, we're going to have a clinical perspective on where we are mentally in this country from the great Dr. Nkumbe, who is here in the back waiting for his perspective from a clinical perspective. So we'll get that in a minute. Let's get beautifully animated, illuminated revelation, John the Baptist, and then we'll go to the clinical perspective for Dr. Nkumbe.
Okay. No, Arpain, I was asking if you had a fan that you can aim towards your phone.
Yeah, I'll try to do something, but I can't even charge the phone. I put the charger in, and it's like turning. It might even blow up one.
Well, I want to take this time to because right now we got 55 people watching and 33 likes. Guys, get the likes up for us, please. I would greatly appreciate it. And because also, if you want to send a Cash App, I will definitely send the Cash App over to Dr. Arpain, because we over here we want to make sure everyone gets away from Cricket Wireless. Okay. All right. So
flip phones.
And flip phones, absolutely. So beautifully animated. Go ahead with your silly queen, baby.
So so I don't believe in disowning your kids and stuff like that, right? And actually, that is the main reason why the Rainbow Group has had so many self-deletions, because they were disowned by their families. It's not just a word that's like extreme. This is people going to the extremes about their kids just being gay. I won't tolerate disrespect, but I don't have to disown my kid to stand in that square. You know what I'm saying? I'm still gonna be respected. I actually have an aunt who was very disrespectful to her siblings. She would bring a girlfriend over to their house and be all up in their mouth in front of their kids, in front of her siblings, their mates, and their kids. So she wasn't welcomed anymore. And it took her years because she just thought it was because she's lesbian. No. She wasn't welcome because she did too much. And she was disrespectful. And she was welcomed back when she was respectful. And the whole thing about them not having kids, no. That's a false narrative. They're finding ways to have kids. As long as they didn't have something physically taken out, they can still have kids. You got the trans man with the trans woman, they having kids. You got surrogates and sperm donors and inseminations and all that crap. They're finding ways to have kids. They don't all have to adopt a kid to have a kid. They're having their own kids some kind of way. So yeah, let's get off that false narrative. I think I said everything. Yep, I'm good.
All right, the illuminated revelation.
Well, for me, it's not so much as a matter of disowning, it's just not approving of the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say disown, there are some synonyms that deal with abandonment, repudiate, deny, renounce, cast aside, cast off, things of that nature. So for me, from a biblical perspective, according to the scripture, if they want to continue in that lifestyle, I have to take it from a God perspective, and that is that He didn't tolerate it. So if these are the things that the Lord does hate, then we're supposed to be followers of Him. And what has gotten me was not so much as being on a soapbox, is I watched how it progressed. I watched how they made it acceptable through TV shows, through cartoons, through movies, and their agenda. I was trying to look for it on my laptop, but they had a small dissertation that they gave, how they were going to be in the courts, be in our schools, and do things of that nature to capture the family. So for me, it's anti-God, it's anti-reproduction, it's anti-procreation, and it's anti-family. So for me, I cannot accept that. And believe it or not, I'm like Freezy, there are spirits. And one book I recommend people to read, and you don't have to read the whole thing, and He Came to Set the Captives Free. Rebecca Brown talked about that, how that sodomite spirit, not homosexual spirit, the actual terminology is sodomite. That sodomite spirit is very, very strong. So for me, when you want to see a nation about to be destroyed, you'll see moral decadence come, and you'll begin to see a moral decay from within, and they made it acceptable. So I watched a hearing today where they talked about reassignment surgery, and the Democrats walked out because they didn't want to watch it, and it was from one of their own. So just to let you know, that community is imploding. It is absolutely imploding, because now they're turning on one another, whereas the sodomite saying, I want to be with a man, the lesbian says, I want to be with a woman. But now they're saying, if you, the homosexual man, won't date a trans man or a trans woman, you're transphobic. Make it make sense, please. So for me, I stand on my square. I will not waver. I will not bow or bend the knee and be like the three Hebrew boys. When you hear the sound of the music, we expect you to bow down to the agenda and to the image. But if not, O King, we will not bow the knee. So for me, if my child wants to live that lifestyle after being trained up and being taught and being instructed, that's on him or her. That is their decision. They're going to have to, we taught our children, you're going to have to stand before God on your own merit. So for me, that's what I say. So I voted not so much as disowning, it's just not accepting that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to do that, you do that, but I'm not going to accept it. You're not going to bring that lifestyle into my household. This is my home. You keep that out there. Call me, whatever, yell, I'll talk to you. I will continue to pray for you. But that lifestyle can't be around it. I mean, we're surrounded by it on a daily basis. So it's not so much as, rejecting your family or anything like that. If you're a believer in Christ, you just have to stand for what you stand on. And remember, I'll land the plane with this. Who is my father? Who is my mother? Who is my brother? Who is my sister? It is those who do the will of my Father. So for me, we're going to lose family members. Sometimes whether you believe it or not, you're going to do that anyway. So that's where I stand at.
All right, the floor is yours, John the Baptist. Then we'll get the clinical perspective. Angry Snowman, thank you for being here tonight. We'll get you in on the next segment, but John the Baptist, and then we'll get the clinical perspective. We'll move on to the next one. Go ahead.
And I quote, "I never knew you, depart from me." I quote again, "Who is my mother or my brother, but those who do the work of the Lord?" My statement is this: is we have to stop being afraid of people who make decisions to rebel against what we stand for and principles that we actually teach and stand for. We have to stop being afraid if those people refuse what we're teaching, whether it be sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, cousins, whatever it is. If they don't want to meet the standard, they choose to go another way. You've made a decision to go another way. I don't have to accept you or your decision. And men have to stop being afraid to lose. Because if you start being afraid to lose, I guarantee you will eventually win. The problem is we try to save them from their problems by entertaining their problems. Give them up to their problems. Let the world deal with them. Let the world treat them harsh. Eventually, they're going to break down and they'll come back. Stop being afraid to lose. I'm done.
All right, I appreciate that so much, man. Thank you for your perspective. I see this is going to be a great conversation for us all tonight. Dr. Nakumbe is going to come up now and give it from a clinical perspective on where we are mentally, how this video reigns through a clinical perspective. So I'm going to bring in Dr. Nakumbe, and we'll get that, and then we'll move on. We'll do our super chats, and then we'll move on to the next segment. All right, here's Dr. Nakumbe.
I like that. Good evening. Hello to everyone on the panel, and hello to everyone in the chat. Thank you for allowing this space. BMU, I've been listening in, but I had some additional thoughts on this particular network. And there are several networks, right? But I was thinking about some of the shows, the last couple of shows that had this conversation. I wanted to highlight that if for anyone out there, especially those listening in who are visiting the network, if you actually look at it from a different perspective, there's opportunity to talk about sports. And pending the culture, the family, whoever you're talking about that subscribes here, that's like, no matter what the sport is, it's a space for people to connect about sports. On Tuesdays, there was it's the ladies' night, and then there's the Talk That Tuesday or Talk That Talk, and different variety of conversations. I was listening to your show the other day on Monday, and there was a lot of spiritual stuff, and even talk of marriage and union, and then you even had someone up to try and coach him about, hey, where's your mindset? How can we help? How can we support? And then the barbershop where men get to just talk about anything. And the reason I mention that is because this particular topic, and I just had a conversation with someone who is inviting me to come on their channel and have conversations, like healthy conversations about not just talking points, not just about, for likes and views, but some real critical things that are happening in society. And I was thinking like, wow, how many spaces, how many networks, how many places can you have these conversations? And I wanted to thank you and the network for even allowing this space for any of us to have this conversation. One would say have it in your own private home. But I think the very reason, at least I've heard or I've felt, I'll say I felt, but I've heard from others talk about this particular network and what you provide is a safe place, no matter how wild we can get, right? I mean, for those who listen in, you know we can get wild, but the ability to always come back together and be safe. The reason I mention that is because tonight's topic, I just want anyone out there listening, if it rubs you the wrong way, if you have a certain feeling about it, or certain thought or pushback, I invite you to reach out either to the panelist that said something that you disagreed with, right here in the chat where we can offer you support. And we have mods who are on it. They're very supportive in allowing you that space and asking if you want to come up and seeing how you can get connected. I just say that because this is one of those topics where people might just be quick to rush in and have strong opinions and want to fight. But if you look at the network wide, this has always been a safe place, no matter what the topic is. So I just want to start with that, and then go right into some of your questions. But also I want to acknowledge the title of tonight's show. If you look at the title, it says children. But that would imply that we're disowning children. But if we're talking about the first video where that person saw grown men kissing, if we're talking about people who can make their own decisions, so we're not talking about little children that are dependent. Now, again, if you look at the title, it could imply, or one could take away, that we're talking about disowning minors and little ones, and maybe even young adults, young teenagers. So I just want us to take into consideration when we're talking about people making that decision to either come out in the first place. And there are some young people who say, I have a feeling, I'm not sure, am I experimenting? They might question that. They might be in the locker room and be like, whoa, Dad, can I talk to you? I have no idea why I got an erection while I was in the locker room. There might be people that have those conversations, but by the time people are coming out, I mean, some, not all, some are in their 20s, mid-20s, 30s, pending the home you grew up in, the structure of it, the spirituality, the rules, the lay of the land of the family. I have clients that have gone into their 50s, 60s, that were married to women, even had children, but all along said it was a facade. So I just want to put that perspective out there that we're not talking about children, even though the question is, would we disown? But I think it gives a different message if we're talking about abandonment of minors. And that's not what we're talking about. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Now, if I can get more right to your question, in our world, and I just have some notes here, but in our world, we go by these generational things. So remember, generational. And I always suggest that we go back 2 to 3 generations back. Every generation has the adult and their beliefs that came from, where did those core beliefs come from? And then you have the child who's growing into these core beliefs and at the same time developing their own. And they're not going to always match. They are not going to match always. One raises you in the church. This one wants to run in the streets. One is barely available, hardly available to the kid. The other one is helicopter parent. So there's always going to be that difference. But what's significant about it, though, when the kid starts to speak, and I said kid, but when we start to really speak up, is usually through a certain way. So in that first video, the guy who was saying, I saw people kissing, I saw this and I saw that. In the second video, we have Mr. Tate saying, once I see the bondage, once I see the outfits, once I see, and if you think about it, most people speak through what they present. Nails, hair, makeup, no makeup, baggy clothes, shoes with the shell toe or shoes with the check, fat laces, baggy clothes, saggy pants, all those are part of someone's identity. So when we're talking about, I would disown them. If I heard it correctly, he said, yeah, they can be gay, but once you start acting and once you start presenting a certain way, so please note, mentally, a person who's identifying through their clothes, through their image, that's huge for them, right? Our society is all about how you look and how you act. So please know when we're talking about disowning, whatever your choice is, but when you're talking about doing it because you don't like what you see, the way they sound, the way they act, that's a judgment. That's a judgment. And so then my question is, who are we to judge? We must consider who are we to judge. And pending the age, so adolescent, and I'll land my plane with this, pending the age that we're talking about pushing back or disowning or saying, hey, not here, we have to look at things like abandonment issues. We have to look at things like neglect, self-worth, self-esteem, because the parent who I was born to, the one who nurtured me in the belly, in the womb, throughout 9 to 10 months, the father who helped produce me, if they're rejecting me, please know psychologically, that's a level of betrayal. That's a level of betrayal that may take a lifetime to repair, to compensate for that youngster, pending the age. And even though we talk about childhood trauma, you can get trauma at any stage. You can have an act that leads to trauma or traumatic episode at any stage. So please consider whatever route you go, betrayal, neglect, abandonment, just on the fact that I couldn't talk to you about it. I couldn't identify the way I wanted to identify. And for those who keep it quiet, please consider the risk when we talk about people on the down low, because they don't talk about it. So the risk that they may go into a marriage or a relationship with a heterosexual person and pass something on. Not everyone does, but that's potential that we have to consider. Consider that person's lifestyle and how they are already going to be at harm based on what society is saying, and that they can't turn back to their family. All that. And I want to add the one last thing about then the individual who does decide, not in my home, I love you, but I won't accept. I like you, I barely like you, but I won't accept. Well, as that adult parent for that adult kid, adult person, you still have rights to your feelings, and you still have a right to how you're going to operate your home. You still have a right to what you accept and what you don't accept. Just consider this is your legacy. These are your kids and how you're going to help them grow forward. So I ask, if you choose to let go in a way almost as a job where they say, hey, we just can't have you here. There's getting fired, there's getting laid off, and then there's whatever we want to call it, we just have to part ways. So consider how you cut ways, and please welcome yourself to having your own feelings and emotions and acting on them accordingly. Sorry for the extension there, but I just wanted to get those points.
BMU, I would like to respond to what Doc said. Hello, BMU.
I guess go ahead. No one else is talking.
Okay, yeah. So I said your super chat that you sent, it is actually where we were going next as well. So go ahead and say what you have to say to him. I'll read the super chats and then we'll get back to it.
Yeah. So Andrew Tate, right? When you play the video, I actually disagree with Andrew Tate. I think that's an immature way of handling a situation with your kids. If I heard him correctly, I think he said not until they start showing or acting out in public, I guess like attending the pride marches and all that kind of stuff, that's when he would disown his kids. I thought that was a very vain and self-serving answer. And I think even people in the alphabet community have enough sense to know that he's being just disingenuous. So I don't respect his answer. You're only pushing your kids away when they make you look bad. That's not genuine. See, now if he would have said, "Hey, I don't accept that in my house, period," whether somebody sees it or not, I can respect that. But you can tell he's an opportunist, and the way he answered that question, I don't even know why I didn't say this the first time. I didn't agree with his answer. So the good doctor, Dr. Nakumbe, he made a good point. Okay, when you do kids like that, it adds to the hypocrisy of heterosexuality, right? We're being hypocrites. Okay, so I just thought it was important to point that out, that the behavior and actions that Andrew Tate would take, I don't agree with that. I just wanted to put that out there.
All right. Well, I appreciate that so much. We have some super chats in the building. And once this last video happened, we're going to open the floor for a conversation and some dialogue between us here and have the conversation. But we do have some super chats here. Let me go ahead and read them. First, we got Hink. He said,
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
He took the $5 super chat. He says, "Here's a little something for Brother Payne's Motorola flip phone fund."
Not a Motorola, man.
Thank you. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate you so much, my brother. Let's see here. We got What We Know podcast in the building with a $10 super chat. He said, "Here's a hot 10 to get Brother Payne closer to getting that upgrade from the old trio to at least a BlackBerry."
Oh my God.
Thank you so much for the $10 super chat, JT. All right, and the last super chat, which we'll be going to in a minute, because Dr. Nakumbe said something about when my brother Illuminated said, not in my house. And I think we look at it as supporting someone, but I don't think we ever look at it on how the parents feel, on how much time they've invested in you and your structuring your life and how they've been there for you. A lot of parents, we don't see it from the other side. So we want to make sure that they're happy and they're living the life they want to live. In most people's minds, that's what they say. But how's the father feeling about it, right? Emotionally, right? Or the mother, how does she feel about it emotionally? We're going to take a look at a video that expresses that, and then we're going to go into No Captivity with Freezy's comment here. It says here, thank you, No Captivity, for the $10 super chat. He says, "Are you willing to attend your child's LGBT wedding? Are you willing to support them adopting children? Are you willing to allow them to come stay in your house if they need to? Where does it end?" All right. And then we got marriage. We got one more super chat for $10. You guys are going to laugh. Mr. Payne says, "I can hear y'all." Laugh out loud. Thank you, Mr. Payne. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. So this next video, guys, and also thank Dr. Nkumbe for coming up and giving that perspective. I told you I was going to have you a cutscene. All right. So just did that 5 minutes ago. All right. So here's the video for the open discussion for the rest of this evening. And this is going to be one. This is a father who had the mindset of illuminated revelation that says, "Not in my house." And he was taken to a talk show where he dressed like he wanted to dress, and he wanted the host of the show to help the father accept him. And I want you guys to see the first reaction of the father when he saw him for the first time, dressed like a woman. Here it is. Thank you, Black Dave. I appreciate that.
There's nothing on our end.
There, it should be coming up. There it is. All right, can y'all see it now?
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Yep. All right, here we go.
It's like his face melted.
It did, didn't it? Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm gonna try it again.
4.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it one more time. Let me see if it's gonna work this time. If not, I know how to. I'll do it another way.
He looked like he got real pain on his face.
Man, it is.
It's beyond constipation.
All right, is it still chopping on y'all side?
No, we good now. It's still.
Yeah, okay, guys, give me just a second, and I'm gonna put it in another way. Hold on, just a second. All right, pause, because I knew somebody was gonna say it.
Thank you for being here.
I knew somebody was gonna say it. All right, here we go. I got to pull it up another way. Here we go. Let's see. StreamYard want to be crazy tonight. All right, here we go. And get ready, Dr. Nkumbe, because we're gonna have you come back up as well. So just 1 second, and then we're gonna watch this and have open dialogue, and then we'll have Dr. Nkumbe come up and give his perspective. But while we're waiting for this video to pop up, Von Bryan sent a $5 super chat. Appreciate you. He said, "Here's a little bit to upgrade that chirp phone, Mr. R. Payne. Man, they are on that phone tonight." All right, here we go.
Sit right here. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Tell me what you're thinking and feeling right now, Gary.
I'm hurt bad. Really bad.
What do you have to say?
Why?
I just want you to know that you didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong.
What the hell?
Yeah, what
bruh.
I'm confused.
Yeah. His father never seen him like that. He took his father to the show so he can reveal himself to his father as who he truly wanted to be. And so we'll have an open dialogue with this. And we'll start with John the Baptist, and you can light the fire, and then we can go across the room. We're not going in any order. Anybody want to hop in and have a perspective, please do so. John the Baptist, but we'll start the fire with you, sir.
Well, first of all, to the dad, I'm not. Did he? I didn't get the context. Did he know what was happening on the show? Did he know what was happening?
No, he did
That
not.
dude
No.
shocked his dad like that. That was
He couldn't have.
Yeah, he didn't know.
no.
This was kind of like
I just want to make sure if they said it or not, if I just missed it. But yeah, when I saw what would happen, as I saw him walking down, I'd have got to walk out, and I wouldn't be a part. I wouldn't participate in the conversation at all. I don't care what anyone says. Once you make a bold declaration to walk out in public like that, and you know who your dad is, you know that you're putting him in a situation where you don't care about his feelings or how he raised you. And if you're that bold to make a decision, at that point, that's not considering your father. You're doing based on what you want to do, how you feel, what makes you feel good. At this point, you're being selfish and self-centered.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are like, well, you're so judgmental. Well, I may be. And I have no qualms, issues with this. I no longer at this point will provide for you any kind of way at all. We won't agree, we won't conversate. Anything that your lifestyle, your choices make, that's on you. And I'll cut it off right there.
My confusion is his dad is up there in complete shock. I'm sure he didn't want to have no conversation, but he couldn't. He looked like he didn't have the energy to get off the chair. Okay, like the chair was holding him up. I don't understand why the son has to be in drag, trans, whatever the get up it's called, whatever. Why do you have to be that in that to tell your father that he did nothing wrong? How does he think the dad can hear him in this level of shock? I mean, the movements and the face, and it was giving me food poisoning. Okay, like we just saw a man just completely get tortured in a matter of minutes. His mind was tortured, his emotions, his spirit was just taken out. I'm with John. Like, that was completely disrespectful. You know your parents, and if he really wanted a healthy conversation with his dad, he wouldn't have dressed like that. And he could still went on Dr. Phil. Yeah, that's true. But I'm saying, since he did take him to the show, right? Because Dr. Phil is a doctor. He did not have to go that far. That was too far. That's what makes it really disrespectful.
Well, I don't know.
On top of disrespectful.
I'm not comfortable calling Dr. Phil a doctor of anything.
Oh.
Bruh.
He is a TV personality.
He's a doctor of the soul.
So this is supposed to be the family guy. This is supposed to be the married guy. I don't know if he got divorced or something. He's supposed to be Mr. Moral guy. Yeah. You allow. Thank you. You allow this to take place for this to take place, and you're supposed to be the values guy. This is what I'm talking about. I mean, a lot of the hypocrisy here by the ones who are supposed to quote unquote know better, but you allowed this scenario to play out. If you were a true man of character, you was like, I'm not going to put a man who's essentially my age. I'm not going to put a man like that in that situation. And so I'm sorry. You guys could look. I'll get a room, and you in the backstage if you guys want to talk about it, but we're not putting that on air without that man's consent.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So again, Dr. Phil, I'm not even, I've never looked at him such, he's a pop psychologist like all these other guys who are on TV now, these crack physicians who really shouldn't have no business doing anything on a clinical level or even pretend to be that. So I think that's part of the issue as well, that a lot of people who should know better are participating in that kind of dysfunction. That should have been a private conversation, and nobody should have got wind to that. But what I would say, as far as now again, if this is a grown man, like I would tell the father, there's only so much of that you can own. Again, and I actually agree with the son. We said, look, if you didn't do anything wrong, if you didn't raise me to be this way, you didn't cause this to happen. There's only so much I can own there. But now, if you still going to be upset, is it because you hurting for your son, or are you hurting for how it's going to look if should anyone on the outside get it? I think so. So I think both the kids and the parents. Both the kid and the parent have to be honest about how they're truly feeling about it. You don't like it because of what? And if that is, you're only thinking about how it looks on the outside, then that's something you need to check also. If it's totally against your moral convictions, that's fine. I'm not saying he's not wrong for feeling that way. But I think to have an honest conversation, which I think a lot of people aren't having, tell us how you really feel about this situation. And again, I've seen it personally. A lot of people go out there and say stuff more so out of embarrassment, more so than out of the well-being of their offspring. It's not always because they're just it's
a little shame and embarrassment goes a long way. And I'm gonna put it like this, because to that point, a lot of people say it out of embarrassment. Everything men do is ego. We need the issue is this.
What was that? Everything is what?
Everything that we do is ego. You wake up, you're proud of your wife, it's ego. Your body, ego. your status, ego. You go out and get the bag, ego. So a little shame goes a long way to keep a society functioning and functional. This is
Well,
not
functional. It cuts both
like,
ways. Reckless. It goes both ways.
But my question is this. My question is this. What society where all the men decided to dress up like women, everyone just did what thou wilt? I mean, you guys talk about the Bible all the time. Didn't God scorch a city to the ground for this?
Two of them, not just one, two.
Like,
Actually not reckless.
What
Actually,
civilization?
reckless. No, he did not. And that's in Ezekiel. For the other guys on the Bible, the reason why he destroyed that city, it was because of their poor treatment of the poor. We look it up. It's in the book of Ezekiel. It wasn't because of that.
No, that is in the book of Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
That is
now look at
it.
He explains why he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. He explains it specifically why, and that's not even mentioned.
But
what's not mentioned?
But my question is this functional? Is this pro society? Like, does this pass first principle? Should we all do this? Or are we terraforming the 99% of a society to cater to the feelings of the 1%?
Yes.
This is I mean, however you navigate in your house is how you navigate in your house. The problem here is this constant promotion, this constant throwing it in the face, this constant, this is okay, this is okay, this is okay. You should do this. You want to stop getting bullied in school, little Timmy? You don't got to learn how to box no more. Put on a dress. Put on a dress and get chemically castrated. We'll make them stop picking on you. When you're promoting this to children, children are literally influenced by response. If you see people putting on high heels and you go, oh, well, you're a girl now, we're going to reward you for that, the kid's just going to keep doing it. This is not normal. These people are so selfish. What we're seeing here is a child who is so selfish that he thinks that he gets to supersede and bring all the shame in the world publicly to his father's house. His father who made him, his father who nurtured him, his father who cared for him, who put him here. These people have no accountability to their bloodline, to their ancestors, to anything, which is why they're tearing apart everything. This mentality that we just saw in this video, that we're trying to figure out a way to see both sides of it. There is no both sides. We are breeding selfish, inconsiderate, non-loyal individualists that have no tie to anything, not even this country. And we're letting them make decisions that affect all of us for their own benefit. And their benefit alone.
Right. They don't even have ties to themselves. They don't have no self-respect. And if they did, they wouldn't be as reckless and as destructive as they are.
100%. Like they don't care about any of this. Any of it. It's sickening to me.
I want to say that the look on the father's face when his son came in, he looked like he lost a son that passed away or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like he looked like he actually physically lost a child.
That is what happened, though. You do understand that, right? That is what happened.
Yeah.
His son literally killed himself and
Right.
thought he could come back as somebody else.
And what I wanted to speak to was, now I know parents are going to love their daughters and sons, try to love them the same. But I think it's obvious, and it shouldn't go without saying. Sometimes fathers try 3-4 times just to get a son. And when they get a son, you know why they want a son, because they're looking for that child to carry on the generational name. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's his only son, but if it is, like, I can understand how that's crushing. You understand what I'm saying? Like this dude is he's threatened to never procreate with a woman. I don't know if he has kids yet, but he's just like, let's just say he stays in that mindset for the rest of his life. He just cut off his father's expectation of, having a son, the joy that his father had, knowing what he was having, when they gave him the results. The joy that the father had is just it's just cut off. And I can imagine that's devastating. Go ahead, Illuminated. I can imagine
if my son came home that way, I would hope that he wouldn't have any kids. I would pray that he wouldn't have any kids because I want the bloodline to die at that point.
No, you know
Well,
that
one thing
that
that
is going to give him children because they want him to sit and groom and indoctrinate them children to be just like him, and that's where we're at.
Mhm.
You guys
see,
know one major thing
that's
too.
where I have a problem at. I think JT said it. We always look at the child. We always look at the child, the child, the child. No one is looking at the parents and how they feel. And my problem is, okay, you as an adult in my household, reared up in my household that was reared correctly, according to what some people say correctly. Everybody's redefining everything now. So you reared your child up in the way that you feel, that was right. You get a job, get an education, you get out there and be a productive person in society. All that's gone now. We're in a generation that they feel as though they're entitled. We're dealing with a socialistic mindset. So with that, you're cutting off generations. A generation is 40 years. So with this generation right here, with them mutilating them, dismembering them, disfiguring them, and misgendering them, it's going to take about 80 to another 120 years for this world to procreate and regroup, if they can do that at all. Because now you're getting off into transhumanism, and you're dealing with all different types of genetic mutations and stuff, and gene therapy. So my thing is, this thing, I like what Reckless is saying, this thing goes much deeper than what this conversation is really going. It goes much deeper. So when we look at what God did, Mr. Ben, I believe you said it was in Ezekiel, but I'm looking at Genesis chapter 6. The whole earth was corrupt. All flesh was corrupt except for 8 souls. And the reason why they was corrupt, because Genesis 6:1-4 talks about the watchers, the sons of God, coming down, cohabitating with the daughters of men. So when that happens, the bloodline was destroyed. So that's what we're doing now. We're transitioning to something different that is different than the image of God. So for me, I'm not getting on no soapbox, but I can't accept it. I just can't, because you're eliminating creation. The animal kingdom is even telling us, don't bring that junk over here.
Well, I'm trying to figure out where we got to the spot to where we really there's people that really legitimately believe that children have rights. I mean, let's think about that for a second, right? This situation where children have the right to have their opinions heard, or they have the right to they have the same rights that we do to sit at the table and address us with situations. I'm sorry, that isn't the case. You're going to sit and tell me that children have rights, but at the same time tell me that a human adult's brain is not fully developed till 25. You're going to tell me that children have the ability to sit and choose whether or not they're a man or a woman at 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, but tell me that a human brain is not developed until 25. That way you can sit and keep pushing this degeneracy and allowing people to get away with it and excuse it away out of adults. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's asinine. It makes no sense. And I can't believe people are buying into this garbage. Children have the right to shut the hell up and do what their parents tell them to do. That's the only right they have. Let's keep it real. My house is communist as hell, and I believe in liberty and freedom. Straight up. I'm 100% American. But in my house, they do what I tell them to do. Straight up. There is no other way. There is no sitting and compromising. There is no dad, please, dad, can we? No, you're doing what I told you to do, or you're going to suffer the consequences. Plain and simple.
So here's my thing.
Hang on, let him get in, because he didn't get point in earlier. Go ahead.
All right, sorry. Here's my thing. we have gone so far. I mean, so goddamn fucking far from the church that this has created it. We're all talking about religion, but if we're leaving the church, the devil's coming in, and guess what? This stuff is going to happen. Right now, we're talking about homosexual and all this stuff. I don't care how you cut the apple, it's still not right. Right now, they're having all these rights and all this bullshit. I have more rights. They have more rights than me right now. Right now, they're adopting kids. I bet you in a few years, they're going to get a tax credit for that. Oh, you're having one kid? Here's 3. Oh, here's more. Here's like $9,000 every month just for adopting a kid. No, that's not right. I pay it as much as you have to pay it. Simple. And the second one is with the kids, they're having these rights to think. I remember if I talk back to my father, I'm getting a backhand. And all of a sudden, this thing is saying, if you hit your kid, you go to jail. Put me in goddamn jail. I'm going to break his goddamn teeth off before I do that. Because he's talking back to me, or he's not doing his homework, or something he did wrong, or let's say he stole something, whatever the case is. He's going to get punished. I'm not saying I'm going to beat the living shit out of my kid, but once in a while, a little slap in the ass or across the face is good for you. It builds character.
Yeah. That's what it is. I mean, this is what happened. This is what happens. I mean, look, stupid people need religion, bro. Like, this is what happens when you let dummies not have guide rails, and religions are guide rails for a society because most people are functionally dumb. Now everybody wants to be a toaster oven, and we're letting them. And we're not only letting them, we're going to sit here and we're having conversations and arguments about, like, if you don't want to stick your junk in a toaster oven, you're a toaster oven phobic. Like, like it's ridiculous, but like, this is what happens when people do not have any kind of structure. Too much freedom is a detriment. Too much freedom's a punishment. Look at these people. They can't sort their heads from their assholes, and they're making decisions that are affecting society, and then people are allowing it, and then we're having to sit here to have these conversations under duress because now we're the assholes in this conversation.
Just think about the Tide Pods for a minute. They're eating Tide Pods.
Yes.
I'm like scratching my goddamn head. Then it was condoms. I'm like, the worst thing I did was smoke a goddamn joint. If I had a Tide Pod, my dad would shove his goddamn foot up my ass, literally, and make me squirm again.
To Bubs the God's comment, yes, society is supposed to evolve over time. That is a natural progression of societal change. But we do not sit and entertain the idea of sitting and reinforcing someone's fantasy, someone's delusion, someone's fallacy. We don't sit and do that. There used to be a day and time when people wanted to make other people believe their fantasy, their fake world that they made up. We put them in mental institutions because that's where they belonged, because they did not fit in with the rest of the social society. Now we are sitting here literally caping for mental insanity, for mental illness, rather than sitting and diagnosing mental illness for what it is and trying to treat the problem. We are sitting here and we're advocating for it, and we're going and allowing it to become mainstream.
Well, and this is the reason I think everybody needs to have like a very intimate interest in history, because we're sitting here talking like this shit is new. None of this is new. Look at Rome. They were doing the exact same shit. And you know what happened to them? They ended up burning the entire city down. We're going to burn this country down. Like, that's what's going to happen. Like, we are on a falling trajectory. This has happened before. When you get to this point in society, literally, we're doing all the things. Everyone's distracted with football. We're having arguments about modern women and who's wearing what dress. Our government is acting against the people and stealing all the money and all the wealth right from under you right now. And we're talking about who gets to be what. Everyone gets to do whatever the hell it is that they want, and it's supposed to be accepted. The next step is we set all this on fire, and some of us make it and some of us don't.
Well, look, Ray, like I said last week to this, there's a reason why this is going on.
You're muted. The mute god's got you. That's the reason nobody's listening.
Yeah, hold on, before, because you three have been kind of going in the circle here. Can we get lost in translation and JT in real quick?
Thank you, Doc. Here's the greater picture that we're missing, is that men are no longer celebrated, and that's the issue. There's always been a particular order. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a show this Friday about respect your elders, because they hold the key. And when you don't respect those who come before you, then you're going to fall for things that you didn't accept or you didn't realize it could happen. And I think society looks down on men every chance they get in every conversation. If you look at every podcast that you watch, they're always telling you what men are not capable of. Well, men built this world. And I think you should hold them in high respect and high regard. And I think the reason why people switch teams is because they couldn't compete in a man's world. So what they did was they decided to use a shortcut and say, hey, look, I see women are hot right now. Let me slide on over here and see if I can get some credit. You know what I'm saying? Instead of doing the actual work. And that's not what this is about. The only way that we're gonna get things back on even footing is to make sure that we hold men in high regard. And I think that's the situation. Back then, men were celebrated. When men went off to war and they came back, they had ticker tape parades and everything. Now it seems like every conversation we have is just to denigrate men. Anytime you denigrate any part of your population is going to be weakened every single time. So I think the main issue is that we have to be conscious of how we treat the leaders of our families, the leaders of our country. You see what I'm saying? The leaders of this particular world. And until we start back honoring men, we're just going to keep getting the same thing that we're getting now. And I'll yield the floor back to you, Doc.
So just listening to what a lot of you guys were saying, I want to go back to what was initially talked about, and it's about the disownment of your child, right? Now, I did disagree, and it's more like on with Brother Tate was talking about. However, I think it does need to be in existence. One of the reasons why is because as fathers, we all are different when it comes down to being a parent. And sometimes being the more milder head parent is effective. Sometimes being the more stronger head parent is effective. It all depends on who wears that hat. But when you're not a parent is where it's a problem, right? If you've seen how that man was, not just seen him, but if you heard that man moaning as his son was walking down that way, he was really like weeping. And one of the reasons is because he was looking at his son with pride when he was younger. Pride. We want to look at our children as our pride. Isn't that what lions call? They call lions kids their pride. It's a reason why. I'm the you know what I'm saying, I'm one of the roots of my child. They have a lineage that they have, but when they do something like that, they're not even acknowledging who they really are. They don't accept themselves, but they want to pass laws and legislation for other people to accept them, even when they don't accept themselves. It makes no sense to us. This is the reason why I'm going to stand strong when it comes down to looking at a man wearing a wig and lipstick and not taking him serious. I'm not. If I came on this panel and I wore my head like a white man and I started bleaching my skin and putting freckles on my face, no one on this panel would take me serious.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
That was necessary.
No one would take me serious. If I came over here and I started having a typical dialect of a typical white man, and I had this part in my head and my hair, I'm looking like David Copperfield, and I'm sitting here trying to talk serious issues with you guys, nobody would take me serious. I've done it before. I would just appear on Black Man Show with a wig on, and everybody just bust out laughing. So that tells you right off the rip. And that's one of the reasons why I did it. I didn't do it just because I wanted people to laugh. I actually wanted to say, hey, watch what happened if I come up and I just pull up with a gray beard and a doggone Jerry curl wig. And everybody initially started laughing at me. They didn't take me serious. So when that young man was walking up to that stage, We already know nobody's going to take care that we have a problem. A lot of people not even understanding this. We have a bigger problem with men trying to be women than women trying to be men. You know why? Because women deep down already understand I can't compete with them. So I'm going to stay in my little corner over here while I wear my pants sag and my hat backwards. I'm going to do it around people that accept me. I'm not going to go around people that don't accept me. They understand that. The difference is that you got the men telling women that they're not real women because they have bonus holes and all this. While disrespecting them, the women are giving them utmost respect. And the men, heterosexual, are telling the women, hey, you do understand that they're trying to take your spot. And women look at us like, oh, well, you're homophobic. This is the reason why. It goes from what you guys were just saying. No one really respects the man. Not until we start standing on our square. Being united when it comes down to our thoughts. So what Andrew Tate was talking about, yeah, there are certain points that I didn't agree with. What Reckless was saying, there are certain things that I probably wouldn't agree. It's just a how to. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes down to it, I think it does need to be in existence. It does need to be in existence.
Can I put one? Can I slide one thing in real quick that I forgot when I was going? The other thing that I wanted to point out, because you were talking about, JT pointed on it and it made me remember what my thought was when we saw that man dressed up in a dress with a wig on walking down that aisle. The thing that the part of it that gets me so riled up is we watched that man do that and the crowd was cheering. What that's doing is it's sending a message, a subtle message, that this is something that we are promoting. Hey, yeah, we all cheer for this, but then like when the guy who doesn't agree with it walks down that same aisle, they'll boo him. You shouldn't stand up, man. You should sit down. You keep your mouth shut. Go along to get along. This is what we're promoting. It's that little insidious thing where everybody's like, oh, well, he wants to live his life. Everybody's been pointing out, they're like, oh, well, everybody should get to do what they want. But when you're putting out messages like that to millions of people, a child might see that. Oh, he's getting reinforced for putting on a dress. I'm going to go put my mom's shoes and underwear on. It's little seedings. It's little, oh, you should be okay with this. Let us into your house. Let us come do this in your room. Where's the line?
That's just it. It's the tailoring it towards kids. They want kids to see. And look, let's all be real. I think about every one of us on this panel can all come into an agreement that we didn't care, nor did we have a problem with the alphabet community at all when they kept it in their own bedroom.
Right.
Kept in your own bedroom, kept in the privacy of your own home. Nobody gave a damn. Nobody.
Right.
It wasn't until we started hearing that you were going to schools and now you were trying to tailor your agenda towards a childlike audience. There's absolutely no reason for an adult to be going to a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old or anybody that's underage for that matter and talking about their own personal sexuality and their own personal kinks and their own personal thises and that's. That's unacceptable. But you know, to land it, it's the whole the real big issue was when you started going towards elementary age kids that actually have no understanding of what you're even talking about. They can't even grasp it. A child that age that has any idea of sex or sexuality, the only reason why they have it is because an adult put it in their mind to begin with. Other than that, they're just out living their life, being kids, having fun, enjoying each other's company. But here we are as adults wanting to come and take our children's childhood away from them and turn them into little adult human beings and sit here and address them with things that they don't understand.
Let me jump in and just take it a step back about the video. And this is why I think sometimes on panels and stuff, people get lost because we're way past the video and we're hitting other points and we still have a few more questions for those who are out there listening that I'm sure might address what we're talking about now. Just from an additional perspective about the video, couple of things and my comments are not meant for pushback, it's just they may land with you who are listening and they may not, and that's okay. But here's something to consider. If you know Ashton, that's visited here on this channel before, I think he was just here yesterday or 2 days ago, Ashton. On one of the shows, he talked about therapists, and one of it was a preacher's therapist and somebody else get paid to break up couples or to cause this type of chaos. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because what was just said a few minutes ago about this person coming down the aisle and people cheering him on. If that person went to see a coach, a counselor, or something like that about, you know, how do I do this? How do I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? We would actually cheer them on and be like, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And then encourage when they come out, not the look, not the look. Most of those cheers should have been about the fact that he was brave enough, or he or she was brave enough to go out there. That's what those cheers should be about, especially on these shows. So you take a TV show with it for viewing and audience and stuff, they want to get in that feel good of not just what they look like, but the fact that they actually did it. Dr. Phil is a legit doctor. Dr. Phil and I actually have the exact same PhD in psychology. I'm a certified forensic counselor. He did an additional year after his PhD in what they call a fellowship in forensic psychology. Depending what state you get licensed in, I'm licensed in Minnesota. The state that he was licensed in, he can't take that over to California. The show and all that's in California. He let the license go. He didn't lose it. It wasn't a charge against him. He let that go. Your doctorate status, my doctor status, is not based on my license. A license is just a hoop. It's just in order to jump through the hoop of to be paid by insurance companies. They want to say that you have a level of training, a level of whatever. So the license, the L, gives you that extra hoop. The C, certification, gives you that extra hoop. So military, police, all these people, nurses, all those positions where you have that extra letter, that's what gives you the ability to practice in that state. The PhD or this PSYD, PsyD, or like MD or DO, your chiropractor, your dentist, those are all doctors. Yeah. Your lawyers are all doctors. So we can't take that away from him unless he lost his degree. He can't lose it. He won't lose his degree.
Doctor, can I ask you a question then? Do you think, because all these degrees that you're talking about, there are oaths that come with that degree, correct? Like you have the Hippocratic oath that comes. I don't know if there's an equivalent for psychology, but for him to do what he did, to have the father on the show unaware of that scenario and situation and create that environment, would that be it? It may not be illegal, but is it ethical? And if he was to come up for like a review of some kind, could someone call him out for that? Because I just think that what he did, I think, was so unethical that I don't, fine, he can have his PhD or whatever, but
there'll always be someone to say
practice is another story for me.
Yeah, there'll always be someone to say, we all have ethics to follow, especially with the license. The license board has a specific set of standards that you have to follow. And then even if he's not at work or whatever, someone can watch it and say, I felt uncomfortable. Even though he's not at work, he still represents the license and blah, 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 blah. So yes, someone could say it was unethical. Now, because he's doing it for work and he's doing it for entertainment, then the producers, so he's actually able to say, this is what I do for a job. And so since I'm doing it for work, it's really it's the onus of the producers and stuff. Now, street work is also work. Right. But street work is also work. So could he just say, hey, I'm doing the business, No. So yes, there's a certain ethical piece to it. However, the shows where they get the ideas are either people who are legitimately suing each other, and then the producer takes that off the computer, off the cart, off the cork board, whatever. So all these producer ideas are somewhere, someone's story legitimate, a counseling story, a therapy story, so on and so on. So yes. Now, speaking of the father and this man, and I keep hearing us talk about kids. And then this is where our listeners are going to be thinking that we're talking about little children. And so I think we're mixing the two. This was an adult on the show, not a kid. I know they're our kids, meaning they're children to us, the parent. But I just want to be clear to our audience, we're not talking about a kid. And remember, by the time this person comes in the wig and makeup and all that, are they kids? And so I just want to be careful when we're mixing the two. The second thing is, please understand, I actually am going to blame the father. And I say that for shock value, but let me back it up. Where did that kid learn the courage? I wrote a few of these down. Where did that kid learn the strength, the courage, the motivation? Why did he attempt to protect his father? Where did he get that from? Ain't no damn Mr. Field taught him that. And sometimes parents say, you can tell us anything. You can tell me anything. You can tell us anything. No matter what, I'll accept you for who you are. Now, I'm not saying this parent said that, but can you imagine the person who comes out? Didn't you? There are some people who are loosey-goosey, but I'm going to put a little bit of faith that the guy knew he was going to be on national TV, international TV with his father. And yes, there's all the views, and then yes, some people were there, pending the group, they really go out there to make their message. But when we talk about parents' expectations is the greatest way to disappointment. Expectations is the greatest way to disappointment. And I'll start to descend my plane with this. Mm-hmm. Here's the catch-22 for parents. You create children, minus the spiritual and religious piece, you create children to produce your legacy. However, we're producing minds and souls that would eventually think on their own. Mm-hmm. Your house won't change unless you add on to it. Your car, and be mindful, a house and a car, you still have to pay taxes on. Miss a tab payment and see where your car end up, even though it's your car fully paid off. Add an extension to your house without getting permission from the zoning and all that and see what happens. But anyway, the point is, a house with no feelings, no personality, no life, minus the personality in the picture, minus that. The house stays the same. We give birth to something that's going to have its own mind, own voice, and own choice. If that's not a hell of a catch-22, I don't know what is. Because you brought the child into the world to produce your legacy, and we can say, hey, when you become grown, you can have your own damn kids and whoa, wait. We produce them to move forward our legacy, and then we say, when you get grown, you can do what you want with your kid. Isn't your kid and their kids part of the legacy? That's a whole debate, but my point is, look at the catch-22. So when we start talking about we have all these expectations, we do. But the chances of them coming to, how? There's something, parents, I want you to think about. What are you doing to help get your child there? And if you're motivating them and encouraging them, you could do whatever you want. You are a Johnson, you are a Smuckatelli, you are whatever. Okay, now also those children in the streets watching these parades and stuff, and Freezy talks about this often. How are they being influenced at a young age? And I'm not talking about the people who say, hey, this is how I felt, this is how I've been. I'm talking about the people who say, oh, I want in on the ideology. That's what I'm talking about. The people who want in because of the message, not because of that's who they really are inside. Because it's not a lifestyle. It's not just a choice. It's if you look at it, it's different layers. There's the one who wants the lifestyle. There's the one who says, this is who I am. And so now you have all this messaging and media and stuff that's influencing these people to make these changes. And where do they get the motivation to either make the change or not make the change? They either feel supported by their family or they don't. And how do we get them there? I'm a store owner, son. I would love for you to keep the store moving forward. But if you get to the point where the store is a burden, I understand. And we don't hit that stimuli until we get to a certain age. When you're 20 years old, you might not know about that 90-year-old parent who's already looking into the next stage of life, and they want to give you all the furniture. Now, some people say, cool, but now we have all these people that are called minimalist, and your parents want to give you a whole garage stuff, and you're like, nah, oh man, take that to the Salvation. Hey, send it to the Goodwill. And the parent feels like, we've kept that in the family for 200 years. So now I'm landing with this. Parents, please keep in mind, you're producing kids to grow your family, but you're producing people that are going to have their own thoughts, own mind, own voice, and own choice at some point. And is it that point when you say, oh, you didn't do it my way, deuces? That's something you have to consider. I'll land there.
Awesome.
I think it is okay to say deuces.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was stipulated on the last show a BMU had that disown is a strong word. I think everybody agreed that the young lady on the show chose the wrong word. Because even I said I would remove myself, my family, and my other kids that I have. And if they come to an understanding that the way I raised them and the principles I taught them, what is the right way of life, yeah, I would accept them back. It's an open door, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I think everybody on the panel agrees that, just completely cutting your kids off. I mean, no matter what they do, I don't think nobody agrees with that on the panel. And a shout out to I don't know if you guys seen it. Shout out to Jess Hilarious. She just recently spoke out. She had a video that went viral. She spoke out against the transformer community. The men that's transformed to be women. She's just tired. She's tired. She's tired of them getting into sports such as boxing, swimming. I mean, it's getting out of hand. And I understand what Doc is saying. I understand what you're saying, Doc, and I respect what you're saying. Basically, it almost, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you're trying to establish a healthy medium between the parents and the kids to where they can move forward in a constructive and healthy manner.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that would be the goal. Hey, at some point, if you ever feel some kind of way, I hate embarrassment. Tell me at home. Tell me at home.
Right.
That goes along with you can do anything you want and tell me anything you want. Hey, just so you know, once you get past a certain age, because in some cultures, you're a man at 9 years old. In Somalia, they'll give you a rifle and you're a man. In other places, you're 12, 16, certain religions. When you reach that stage, if we're no longer sharing in our same values and morals, like if you start to develop your own, cool. I just want you to know certain ones I've never accepted here in the house. And if you ever want to have that conversation when you get older and we can have a mature conversation, hint, my shame, my guilt, my disappointment, me, or my anger, my whatever. And when you get to that point, we can have that conversation. But I want to be honest. There's some of it you can do. It's not what I can do to you. It's what I won't let you do to me. So our home, your mother and I, your siblings, and if you're influencing them in a way that's not what we're part of, you'll have to wait until they get to the point where they can do it on their own as well. But if not, we can't have that here. And we can have those healthy conversations well before the shock moment. And then if you do the shock moment, then I can say that I was intentional. And it's understandable that I feel disrespected. And I wonder what you were doing it for. I think you did it to hurt me. And then if the kids for all this time, God, you hurt me. So now we're having a chest measuring match and didn't have to go this route.
Can I briefly interject right quick? And I'm a land because I know a lot of people want to talk. But I think one of the things that we, as just human beings, man, that we take for granted is that time waits for no one, and everything takes time. And we don't have an ecosystem when it comes down to this. When it comes down to being a parent, we understand that there's a time, and being a parent is that you are a different type of parent based off of how old you and those children are. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, you are a benevolent dictator when it comes down to your children being of a certain age, right? From them being a infant all the way up until whatever age that it comes down to. Whether you want to or not, there's going to be a time where you're not going to be a dictator anymore. What you're going to be is you're going to be more of a guider, right? Someone to guide them, right? And then after that time, they get older. Then the only thing that you can be is someone to advise them. You dig what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't understand that.
Right.
A lot of people will have kids that are 30 and 40 years old, and they're still trying to be a benevolent
Still trying,
dictator.
absolutely.
They're still trying to guide them. They're still trying to do all these different things. That's why, you know, I was kind of like, when it came down to that whole thing where, you know, Black Man showed the video of what Andrew Tate was saying. That's why I disagree with it, probably the semetics of it, but I didn't agree. I didn't disagree wholeheartedly. That's why I said that it should exist, because we just got different styles of parenting. But one of the things that I know that is absolutely sure is that we get demoted when it comes down to our children being adults. We get
It could be
demoted,
promoted.
and we
It could
should
be
be happy to
promoted.
be demoted.
Yeah.
Right? They're
Well,
in our
we were the
family.
provider, now we're the advisor. That's what comedian Earthquake said. But if I could pause you for a quick second, we actually have one more video, and then I know a lot of people want to get in, but let's watch this one more video, and then we can get back to cooking. All right.
This is haram, bro. Haram. Oh.
And this was.
Why didn't they give them some teenagers from a high school, inner city?
Hey, Doc hit us with the bop gun, man. You hit us with the bop gun, Doc. Come on.
Bro.
So
Let me
now,
give
what's,
a couple
so
perspectives,
now
and then
what's
we
the,
can just jump all over here if you
what's the
guys
question
want. I
of the
just don't want
follow-up
to.
from this?
Yeah, I just don't want to lose the point from the video. I'll just throw this in, and then let's get at it. Here's something to consider. Because from a parental perspective, when you used to have to sign permission slips for your kids to go places, or certain speakers would come in, the school would vet them and or send out letters to the parents and say, hey, we're going to have so-and-so speak on at the school, whatever. If you don't want your kid to participate, don't bring them that day, or blah, blah, blah. So there's a part where the parents feel robbed and cheated, all right? Robbed and cheated. And that's not even getting to the point of who's presenting, who's at the school. We didn't even get to that point. So you take that into consideration. And then you have youth on the other side who possibly at some point, I'm not sure about that age, but I don't want to put a number on it, but you do have youth who questioned in the locker room, who wondered, like, what is that down there? Who wondered, what are these bumps? And if the parents weren't at home talking about it, where did the kids get the information? The schools and other industries put their heads together and said, TikTok, YouTube, and all these places are going to do it. Let's get a head start on it, and we'll start talking about it in a healthy way. But then the shift came where who's deciding what is healthy for you and your kids? Who's deciding? Who's deciding and what is considered healthy? So this particular video on the professional side would say, yeah, we're getting ahead of it. We're having those uncomfortable conversations. And the parents go, you got to be, are you fucking kidding me? What do you mean? What was from the professional side, the people who would say we're drinking from the Kool-Aid, the people who are saying we're in with the, we're being proactive. So on that side, sure. But at the same time, you are helping to influence my child with the same stuff that's on the social media, and I didn't have a choice in that. And they still are at the age where I'm responsible for them. I'm in control of them. So there's that catch-22. How do you give information for the kid who's wondering and questioning and doesn't know? And if the parents aren't home teaching about it, how do you give them information at the same time? What should be in the school? What should not be in the school? And parents, well, now I was going to say some schools, it doesn't matter because you have to get to those meetings. You have to get to those board meetings. But at the same time, I know some schools, Chicago and a few other places, who they made wide changes, but your voice is not heard. You have to do more to have your voice heard and do more educating with your kid. Remember when you could tell your kid, don't sit on the stranger's lap? Remember when you could tell a kid, stranger danger? So if these kids are sitting there comfortable and not even knowing how to say, wait a second, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't seem right, I don't know if my parents. So the kids who don't know any of that, who haven't had those conversations, please start having those conversations with your kids. Our home is about this, our home is about that. And if you're at school in a certain position, the same way we used to say, if a kid messes with you, you pick up a brick and hit them to the white meat, and then I'll come up to the school and we'll discuss it later. I'm not saying hit anyone with the brick. What I'm saying is the same way we said that message. We'll fix it later. So at school, if people are coming up telling you this is what a boy is and you know what a boy is, don't engage. I'd rather you leave that situation. We'll talk about it when you get home.
So don't hit anybody with a brick, right?
Well, look.
Don't hit anyone with a brick. I was saying.
What about a lightsaber?
Yeah, back in the day, defend yourself.
Well, look, first off, we need to understand that video we just watched, that is a controlled environment, a controlled situation, and that is scripted specifically to steer the discussion away from what we've been seeing. The fact of the matter is, we've been seeing transgender people go to high schools and give underage girls that are 15, 16-year-olds lap dances, men giving girls lap dances in the college gymnasium. We've been seeing videos of transgenders doing these drag queen shows, and their parents bringing their kids to basically strip shows where they're being shown explicit content with nudity and all this other stuff being exposed to them. And they're doing this. That video right there was done and created specifically to steer the discussion away from what we've been seeing.
It's a PR campaign. It's a PR campaign. And my question is for the parents who are falling for this. So when they lower the age of consent down to about 10 or 12, because I mean, obviously, if a child can decide if they're a toaster oven or not, then like, why can't they decide who they let bang them? How are you going to feel then? Is that going to be too far? Or maybe when you can have your 12-year-old or 10-year-old child bride, is that going to be too far? Because she can now that 10 or 12-year-old can decide who they're going to marry because love is love, right?
And
these people aren't sick. No, this is normal. This is normal. Where's the line going to be?
Well, no, and it's
where's the line going to be?
Here's
the thing is, they're dealing with a drag queen. That's a profession. That's a profession. Like, he gets in a costume and does entertainment. It's not the problem. The problem are the transgenders, you know what I'm saying, who want to be, they're getting their driver's license changed, their birth certificates changed, which just trips me out. So yeah, they're definitely trying to camouflage and make you look the other way while they do their dirt. You know what I'm saying?
Let me help y'all out.
As we give a quick disclaimer about this particular video, because I think Freezy's question, right, if I'm not mistaken, you can please ask it again or state it again, is about where how did we get here? How did we get to this point, right? So this video, I think, helps us also understand where these kids are getting these messages from till they get to the point where they feel so confident that they can just make this change, and they had a right to make this change. So for those listening out there, before you hear the energy shift and think, oh, see, they just want to bash. No, I think the energy you feel is related to, whoa, the bait and switch, like they're doing what? But we do want to get to the point of how or why that video is significant. Freezy?
Right.
Yeah, so basically I asked the question, are you willing to attend your child's LGBT wedding? Are you willing to support them adopting children? Because, you know, depending on who you're talking to, there could be a serious dynamic to that. Are you willing to allow them to come stay in your house if they need to, you know, probably moving in between apartments or house shopping or something like that? is there an end to it? And the reason why I asked the question is because on this panel we have different perspectives when it comes to kids, and I know some people feel different than others when it comes to if your child chooses a certain lifestyle, how you would move forward. That's why I asked the good doctor that question, which it was kind of rhetorical because I know Dr. Nakumbe's intentions. He wants families to try to come to some kind of consensus and not be tumultuous. I get it, right? But the reason why I just wanted to ask that to the panel, would you allow these things? And if you wouldn't allow even one of those things, where's the end? Is there an end? I just wanted to pose that to the entire panel.
No. I mean, if we keep going like this, no, there is no end. The end will be this is on fire and we all got to be relocated.
All right, so I got daughters, and Black Man, if you will, can you pull that back up, because I will address each and every one of them. I know the first one was saying that would you attend your child's LGBT wedding? First and foremost, I supposed to be one of the people in the wedding, and I refuse to give my daughter to a woman. I would not give my daughter to a woman. I need her to be with someone that can protect her. It's the same way that if it was heterosexual, if he was a ain't man, I would not give my daughter to him.
That's a great point, JT, what you just made.
So when it comes down to it, when we talk about things like weddings and things like that, they're just significant, and it's more like it's a ceremony to actually everything that's in that ceremony actually have meaning to it. You know what I'm saying? The father gives his daughter away to the man that is supposed to protect her next, right? That's why she's supposed to take that man's last name. The ring bearer. I don't know why that little man is right there, but the ring itself, it's supposed to have. That's why they tell you not to put any stones in anything. It's supposed to be significant in two halves making a whole, right? With nothing in between it. You ain't supposed to have no stones or anything. These things are just what we're talking about as far as what means something. You got the flower girl. What it means is that, we already know what flowers mean, birds and the bees and all these different things. Is to multiply and be fruitful, have children, be able to be fruitful to your children. It's a whole lot of things that these things can be significant in. Now, they done changed it. You got all kind of theatrics with it now. You know what I'm saying? You got all these different other things to make people feel good, and they lost. And a lot of people they didn't lose anything. They never found it anyway. When it comes down to the significance of the ceremony, it's just a ceremony. You can go down to the Justice of Peace, and then you can celebrate, and you can have your own ceremony. But the thing is that they have this thing called a vow, right? How do women have vows with each other when it comes down to that? Opposites are supposed to be attractive to each other. Other than that, think about it. I was just watching something with two old lesbians, right? Two old lesbian. Don't nobody have no problem with two old lesbian women. They're roommates. That's basically what it is. Or two old white men that are gay and they live together. Nobody ever has a problem with that lifestyle, but we do have a problem with our lineage. We're talking about the younger you are. This is the thing. You don't even have a chance to get yourself together, because we got people like what we just saw, that in that controlled environment, you got someone that's out here trying to push a lifestyle towards you for whatever reason. You're not in the best interest. Guarantee that. When it comes down to, are you willing to support them if they adopt children? And what you were saying, no cap, was if there was someone from that community, right? The LGBT adopting a child.
Right.
If my we already stopped that at the wedding. I ain't even trying to, I don't really want to support that part. But when it comes down to them adopting children and things like that, no, I gotta be a hard Hard no. The reason why I have to have that is because we have too many people that's lukewarm, on the fence. We already understand what we have a problem with. We have a bad enough problem with heterosexuals trying to be doggone parents. We got a problem with that also. Are you willing to allow them to come stay with you if you talking about the family?
Their relationship.
Come on, man. I already said it at the beginning. I'm not going to disown my child, but let me tell you something. I can't support it. I cannot support it. Y'all heard me say this before. You're a dropout. When it comes down to it, I'm about family, bro, and I'm about productive family.
To your point, JT, that's why I asked the question. I want everybody to answer it. That's why I asked the question, because we've already thrown out the disown word. But the reason why I wanted to ask the question is because, yeah, you might not disown your child, but if you do these three things, they might look at it as you're disowning. You understand what I'm saying? So
right.
I want everybody on the panel to answer it truthfully. Please don't be swayed by anybody else's answer. Please answer it truthfully, because there's people that's watching. There's people that's ghost watching. I know the guy. There's somebody named Bubs the God. He really wanted you guys to answer this question. I just want everybody to give their perspectives and their truthful opinion.
If I may. And I made this comment also on Friday. Wedding is something sacred between a man and a woman. It should never go between a man and a man, a woman and a woman. It makes no goddamn sense, in my opinion. 1. 2, I agree with our boy. How will a woman defend my daughter? You can't. Yeah, you can tell me you got firearms, we got weapons. Let's say it's a hand-to-hand combat against a man. 250 pounds versus 120. I bet 250 pounds are going to win. I don't care if you know martial arts or not. I'm a martial artist. Yeah. Second thing on that. I'm speaking as a Greek coming from Europe, raised and born. Seeing this, it has disgusted me. In Greece, where I grew up, it never happened. It still doesn't happen to this day. Why are we letting this happen as Americans? Anybody?
Because we're weak. The West is fallen. It's soft. It's a soft society. I mean, at this point, the best thing that we can do is those of us who have the wherewithal and the means and the ability is get ready to have to go somewhere and rebuild this shit and like maybe not screw up that time. Because I mean, we're already rolling down this hill. As far as would I attend the wedding? I don't believe in LGBT, LHDTV weddings because they don't exist. I do believe in the rights that they were afforded. They could have called it anything else. And honestly, if you actually talk to people during the time when they were advocating for those rights, they didn't care if it was called something else. But again, when you're pushing an agenda and you're trying to destabilize things, you have to tear everything down. What are we currently doing in society right now? They're tearing everything down. And by they are communists. That's what they do. You have to destroy the history of the country that you're in. You have to destroy the morality of the country you're in. You have to destroy everything to tear it down to the bare minimum. You have to tear everything down. We have to destroy the church. We have to attack everything. I mean, we sat up here on this panel and we've even had people attack Tate without the details of that trial. No one's come forward as a victim. The court decided who were victims. What qualifies you as a victim? Being monetized on TikTok and being in someone's house. Anyone on this panel, if you've had a woman who was monetized on TikTok, if they decide to come for you, you are also a trafficker, just so you know. The 2 chicks that they did have in the case that came forward, their mothers disavowed them. They got text messages of them planning to do this. But we can just let that slide because the talking point sounds good. This is how divided we are, and this is the issue, is you have a group of people that are moving lockstep. The people who are benefiting from it that don't even agree with it are keeping their mouth shut because they're benefiting. Women are co-signing this because they are benefiting. There is an attack specifically on the men because only men can go to war effectively. We are being weakened. And we're sitting here trying to justify it. We're calling it brave. Brave is standing in the face of an unsurmountable wave of opposition. There's nothing brave about putting on a dress right now because everyone's going to tell you that you're doing the right thing and that you are brave. There is nothing brave about that. You're joining in the mob. That's not brave. You're joining in a mob that is setting you up to be destroyed. You're going to destroy your brothers. You're going to destroy your sisters. The look on that man's face as his father's soul was crying out. And he looked at him at a straight face. These people are training an oppositional agent that will come into your house and have that same face as they drive a knife into your heart to kill you. This is not a game. Like, I know it's cute. I know we can sit up here and talk talking points, but this mentality, there is going to come a time where they have weakened the men enough that next step is, well, anyone who's not 100% in on this, well, we got to get them up out of here. And that might be your parents. Look at what they've done in every other communist state. They tell on people. Cancel culture. You tell on your parents. You take your parents out to get them sent to the gulag. You get rid of your community members. The people you had breakfast with are now the enemy. Everyone's snitching on each other based on what is decided as a social norm. They are teaching us that 2 + 2 = 5 right now. And we are sitting here. Now, those of you who are brave need to start saying something. You need to start speaking up. You need to show up at these school board meetings, even if you do not have kids, because should you have kids in these communities that are yours, those school board members still serve you. And let them know that we are not going to stand for this, that we are not going to take this laying down, that we are not going to conform to this abnormal new norm. 2 + 2 is 4. I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of this, bro.
I want to hear from Mr. Bennett, and then I think we'll go with Lost in Translation after that. What you think, Mr. Bennett? Wedding, adoption, and moving in your house. What do you
Well, it's
think?
interesting because I've had this very conversation with all three of my daughters on multiple occasions when they were around preteen, and then through high school. It would just occasionally come up because they go to school with folks in that community. They know they go to school with kids that come from a male or female household. They're friends with them. They and so the question will come up, Dad, if no one's come out yet, so to speak, and as far as I can tell at this point, they're all heterosexual. I said at the time, and my wife was there, there's just a family table conversation, which is good to have. I recommend it. I didn't know. I said, I told him, you said, be honest, Freezy. I said, I don't know. Would I come to your wedding? I don't know. I'd be spending some time, obviously, wrapping my head around the fact that you would come out. So I would have to, kind of get that cleared. Would I attend your wedding? I don't know. That was years ago. Now I might be a bit more resigned in my mind not to attend the wedding, because again, I do think that weddings, especially if you're doing it in a church or what have you, I think that is I think that's a bit more sacred occasion. Now, would I allow them to have kids? It depends. Because my thing is, are you going to go the route of getting a donor and inseminating somebody and having the kid and that sort of thing? Or are you taking the kid out of foster care? That matters to me, because I think the foster care system is a terrible place for most kids. And if you have two functioning people who can provide a nurturing environment for a child who is coming out of that system, I think that child is better off. A lot of people want to disagree me on that, But I think our foster care system is horrible, and the horror stories that we heard of kids coming out of that is something. So it's for me on that one is going to depend. If they need a place to stay for a couple days while they're in transition or something, again, I don't know. Probably. Would I want to hear them? I got daughters. Would I want to hear them going at it with the room closed in the house? That might be uncomfortable. But to be honest, even if my daughter were married and I said this to the guy, you can move into the house, I don't want to hear the wall banging either. Can you guys keep that? Can you keep that? Can you keep that to yourselves for a couple of days until you get out? I don't want to hear. My wife and I kind of have a rule. If we're staying at a relative's house, we don't do it. I just never was comfortable with doing it in anyone else's bed unless it's a hotel bed. Someone else, I ain't doing it in no one else's bed. Someone.
Mr. Bennett, you ain't never sneaky freak.
Absolutely not.
Oh,
No.
come on. Hey, bro. Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I got
Where's the
sisters
fun
who live
part?
in Vegas.
Come on.
Stayed there for several days. And I said, look, we ain't doing it here. I don't care. That's just me. I just don't like, putting seed in somebody I know's house. I wouldn't do it at my best friend's house. I wouldn't do anything. So a hotel room, something, whatever, or our place, our car, whatever, but not in,
you can stop it.
That's right. You can't stop it because we're not going there. So again, for some of these, I'm not as definitive on the marriage thing. Yeah, that'll probably be my most definitive answer. But I remember what I said to my kids at the time when they're like 13, 14 years old. I don't know. My wife and I would have a conversation, and we would, think on it, pray on it, whatever we got to do. But these are. I love to live a little, but just not in my sister's house. I'm sorry, not my mom's house. My uncle's house. No, and I don't. I can hold it. I got some discipline. Give me some credit,
brother. You got to experiment a little bit. You got to experiment a little bit here.
Not in my sister's house. No. Yeah. So that's how I would. I think was there one more question? So I answered the marriage question. I think I answered the adoption question. Again, I'll probably be a lot more favorable there.
The last
especially if you're taking a kid out of foster system, and then the living together, was that the last one?
Staying in your house,
living in the house for a couple days while you're in transition in town or whatever. Your hotel got canceled, you want to stay for the night or whatever and keep it moving, but I don't want to hear any banging, all right? Or vibrators or anything else. Keep that down until you can guys go and then leave.
What's going on?
Get him
I heard
off
you
the
say
line. I didn't know if you knew this.
No, I'm just asking you what's going on.
Then
I
when
get
you
that.
get
I
there.
want.
So that's where I land on it. And I'll just pass it on to the next person after that.
I already know the order. Translation is next, and then Illuminated, Beautifully Animated, Snowman, R-Pain. Groomer, you went already, right?
Yeah, I just one quick question for Mr. Bennett. You said
Okay,
no
go ahead.
vibrators. What about lifesavers?
Dude, I'm a Star Wars fan just like you, man. But I don't know this. You mess with some dark side energy right there.
Well, we wanted the truth, and Mr. Bennett definitely did not let us down. So we're gonna go to translate Lost in Translation. What you think, man? What's your whole viewpoint, bro?
Here's my thing. Just so you guys know that I'm aware of how these conversations work. Generally, there's someone from the clouds who request a response from us from a hypothetical question. Okay. I'm going to give you an answer. It's no across the board. And I'll tell you why. I come from a family who rails against the world. Okay. We don't conform to this world. And I'm not going to adjust for the world because of where I come from and what I stand on. I'm not going to your wedding. I'm not allowing you to have any kids in my name. If you want to stay somewhere, you want to stand on it, you stand on your own and you protect your own, you stand for what you say. I'm not going to give you shelter. I'm not going to give you cover. You know what I mean? Whatever you decide you want to stand for, you stand for it and you fight for it. That's how I look at it. If it's anything bad enough, you want to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time and your peace and your sleep for it. I end all my live streams with that, and that's for a reason. You know what I mean? Anything worth fighting for is worth having. Anything worth having is worth fighting for. And if you're looking for somebody else to cover your foolishness, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to give you guys a question. The reason why that last video was so triggering is because we as men allow that to happen. Whenever the gates come down, that's when the enemy shows up. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a story. A friend of mine named Devin, she has a foundation here in Birmingham, Alabama called I See Me. Basically what she does, she raises funds for boys for books so they can read for books. Okay. Also with that, what she does, she contacts all the men that she knows, and we come in and we read to the boys. You know what I mean? And as the men, we all know each other. So let me tell you what we do. We go in there suited and booted. And when I tell you, when we come up in that school gets a whole different energy when men come in there and men sit down and they talk to these boys. And what happens is the kids notice that the teachers, who happen to be women, give those men a different type of look. It's like, oh my, you know what I mean? And kids see stuff like that. And what happens is we'll let them know it's okay to be a man. It's okay. This is what a real man looks like. Real men come in and we take time out of our day, even though we're busy providing. We come in to show you this is what you can be. You see what I'm saying? This is what you can aspire to. When I was in high school, what gave me the idea was the former mayor of Birmingham came in. At the time, he wasn't the mayor, Larry Langford. I love that dude. Larry Langford came in and he talked to us. And one of the things that stuck with me when we were in school, Larry was one of those guys who was charismatic. He was a matter-of-fact type of gentleman, and he stood on whatever he said. Larry came in and said something that stuck to me. He said, when you find a woman, you make sure she has some pep. And I asked him, I said, Mr. Langford, what is pep? He said, potential earning power. He said, you shouldn't be out here doing all this by yourself, and don't let nobody tell you and otherwise. When these folks get out here, he said, when you get a wife, you're supposed to get somebody that's going to help you. If not, let all that other foolishness go. So whenever I see all this other stuff on TV and all this other stuff, people start talking about, you better do this and 100% and all this other stuff. That ain't what that man said. You see what I'm saying? That man showed up to my school and showed me how to do. You see what I'm saying? What to look for. And I ain't been steered wrong yet. So what my thing is this. When I decided I want to go ahead and help somebody, I don't have any kids of my own. When I wanted to help somebody else, I was like, okay, you're making the call. I'm showing up. You see what I'm saying? And all the fellas say, okay, this is what we're going to wear. 3-piece suits, monk strap shoes. We're going to be buttoned up. You're going to have ties, bow ties, whatever it is you're going to do. Make sure you're sharp. And when you sit down and you talk to these guys, you look at them and you ask them questions and you read stories. And I tell you, when those little boys saw a difference, the next day, you know, the little boys start wearing ties the next day. And that whole atmosphere changes. You see what I'm saying? And what happens is the little girls started respecting a little bit, the little boys a little bit better because they started carrying themselves a little differently. So my thing is this, as men, we have to take time out to make sure that we show up at these schools and make ourselves seen and make ourselves heard. So what happens is it prevents stuff like these other people showing up. Could you imagine if a father was at school and the drag queen shows up? You best believe it's going to be a showdown at some point. Like, why are you here? Why are you talking to my kid about this alternative lifestyle? Let me take you out back and we're going to have us a little conversation. You see what I'm saying? And I assure you, half of the stuff that we see on TV would not proliferate. And I'll land my plane with this. Gentlemen, it is our responsibility to leave our community in a better shape than we found it and to make sure that we protect what we have and as due to us and our responsibility. And I'll land my plane there.
Powerful. Illuminated, wedding, adoption, moving in. What you think, bro?
That would be a hell no. All the way across the board. Nope. Not having it, not going for it, not doing it. And wifey wouldn't go for it either. So you can forget that. The two shall become one flesh and we walk in agreement. So that's not happening. So just to not get too personal, I mean, we don't have anyone in our family that community, of that register community. But when my daughter started acting up, he was like, you want to act up? Go ahead. You know, you have to have to, like Lost in Translation said, you have to have a standard. You know, you have to have a standard. You know, the old saying, we say it facetiously, if you don't stand for nothing, you're going to fall for everything. And we just falling for it. We're falling for everything. Just everything goes. We want to be people pleasers. See, you know, coming from the military, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't about choice. You did what the NCO told you what to do, and that was it. And then when you got the stripes, you did it, you know, what you had to do. But all this people pleasing stuff and all this, you know, love and acceptance and embracing, and I want to do this, so I'm not doing it. Call me hateful, call me mean. God has a standard. Okay? And they're misconstruing God's love. There's 4 kinds of love: agape, unconditional; stergios, which is brother; eros, which is intimate; and philemon, which is brotherly. Those are the loves we have. We love the person but hate the sin. Well, you know, there comes a time when you have to just, you know, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Because what happens is they promoted this lifestyle to the point and perpetuated to such a point to where if you don't accept it, you are not normal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then so be it. Then I'm not normal, you know, and I'm no better than any man. Let he without sin cast the first stone. I'm not throwing any stones. It's just certain things that I will not allow. I don't drink, so I don't indulge in that. You know, I don't smoke, don't indulge in that. So I have my standards that and things, you know. I like to keep healthy as much as possible and keep my body up. But to have grown men reading to little children back in my day, that wouldn't have happened. They would have been up to their school and there would have been some laying on of hands, so to speak, you know. But now, yes, I do want to land the plane, but I want to read you something because JT, he's from Detroit, you know, and he's going to like this this definition that I'm gonna read from. This is the law. This is the law I'm gonna read from because I'm gonna land my plane with this, and I'm gonna turn it over to somebody else. Should have had this thing already. Yeah, let's see here. You're gonna like this, JT. And I think you're gonna like it too, Freezy. Matter of fact, it's coming from a dictionary that I just recently purchased. Yeah, I just thought I had that. Gay marriage, gay panic. Oh, it's the gay panic defense. And under the gay panic defense, what it states in here is if you feel as though the alphabet community is making a sexual advance, you have a right to defend yourself. So that
Really?
is yes, that is.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's why I say, you know, this conversation,
Sure.
we're gonna have to start digging off into the laws, common law, maritime law, because I have all kind of stuff prepared for y'all tonight. And we probably can talk about that in the back channel because some of the stuff I don't want to say over YouTube and get Black
Most
Man
definitely.
Unfiltered, you know, canceled and stuff. But there are certain things that we can do to help, you know, bring this stuff to the bud. But like I stated earlier, man, this community is imploding. There's going to be a judgment that's coming, and when it comes, you know, all that love and acceptance and all the rest of that stuff is going to go out the window because there is a judgment that's coming and it is inevitable. You know, we are forcing God's hand. He's He's been merciful. He's been kind. He's been loving. He's been patient. But when you start messing with God's babies, that's where the line grows. That's where he draws the line at. And I'll land my plane with this. When Elijah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, when they saw the wrath of God, they wrapped their face in the mantle and said, man, I feel sorry for you. There's nothing you can do. There's not, God's son cannot deter him from his wrath. So if he can't do it, who are we who are mere flesh and blood is going to do it? Are you in those fire and brimstones, Bible thumping? No. I'm just telling you what history has recorded. God doesn't play that. And I try to be as nice and loving as possible, but God is not playing with us. And when it comes, and what you're talking about, brother, when you're talking about burning, there was a prophecy that was given by a man of God who saw America on fire. We're literally seeing our cities being burned right before our eyes. So we're just going to have to get our little compound and get our little group together for those who are like-minded and stick together, because, you know, lost in translation, some of us ain't going to make it.
You're right.
You know, and I'll end with that.
Thank you, Illuminated. Beautifully animated. I know you're gonna keep it real. I know you're gonna keep it 100. But before you answer the question, I do want you to not answer the question under the pretense that you're in your house with a husband or another. I want you to answer the question pretending you are single, a single mother, and what you would do. Your own decision, not influenced by your husband, or because I know a lot of these questions are being answered under the dynamic of husband and wife and all. I want you to answer the question because I'm interested in knowing how would you handle that situation as far as attending your child's wedding, adoption, supporting adoption, and letting them move in your house if you were a single mother.
What wedding? Weddings and marriage are for man and woman. So therefore, my kid would have to have a ceremonial union. I can get with that, but it's not going to be a wedding. Like Reckless was saying about being able to put your mate and your children on your health care and stuff like that. I believe they should have those same rights to take care of one another. Let's see. Children. I mean, I don't have a problem with having children if that's what they want to do. This is not my life. This is my kid's life with whoever she's with. She could have her own kids, or she could adopt, because like Mr. Bennett was saying, these the government is shit when it comes to these kids. My mom fostered 2 kids, and one of them, they had her so hot, so pumped full of drugs because they keep them medicated instead of dealing with their problems. We had to rush her to the hospital one night because her heart was speeding. It was beating so fast, it could have just popped out her chest. So yeah, like if people can adopt a child, I totally support that. And as far as living with me, I don't mind a short time, like a short term stay, if that puts them in a better situation to be out on their own. So yeah.
You know what? I'm happy. you answered the question the way you did. The reason why I wanted you to answer it under the pretenses of being a single mother is because I didn't want you to, just say, because I know you're a very respectable woman, and you would say, well, if my husband wants this, I would. I just feel like I know you well enough for you to say. I know you would say that. So I just wanted you to answer it under your own, how you would personally feel. You know what I'm saying? But I really appreciate your answer, and because I know.
I was going to answer anyway, but because I am a single mother.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, I don't know your personal life. That intuitively, yet it's still it worked out. But I really wanted, and we're going to Snowman next. I just really wanted you to answer it the way you wanted to, because in my understanding, just not just on this panel, but in my real life, I noticed there's a big polarizing dynamic when it comes to how women feel and how men feel, right? And then guess what? Some of these people are getting married. So I just think that's that's something to just think about. But go ahead, Snowman. What do you think, man?
Well, first off, I want to preface this by discussing the very first question that was asked, because I thought about that all week since today. Every day I've sat and pondered on this. Would I disown my child? Discussion that we had.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I pondered on it, and the more I sat here and I, was playing around with my kids and this, that, and the other, just doing my daily thing and thinking about this, I came to the consensus that if I am a real leader of my home, if I really care about the stability, the safety, and the protection of my wife and my children, then I would have to. I would have no choice but to. Simply because I can't allow toxicity to destroy my other kids just because of one. I have to be willing to protect them. And see, in order to be a real leader, you have to be willing to make the hard decisions that no one else wants to make. You have to be willing to put your foot down when no one else wants to. You have to be willing to do the things that no one else wants to do for the outcome and for the betterment of everyone else. You have to. There's no choice. And I was like you, Freezy. It brought me to tears when I thought of that. It really did. It brought me to tears. It's almost, I'm getting emotional now speaking.
I feel you, bro.
Because I spoke with brother right here in the middle. I can't remember your name at the bottom. Me and you were talking.
Boston Translation.
Boston Translation.
Right.
Me and him had a very deep discussion Friday night in the back chat, and I shared a little bit of my personal life with him. And that's why it bothers me and why it hurts me that I would have to be that way, just because of some of the things I shared with you. But the truth of the matter is if I really truly love my kids, sometimes you have to do things that they don't like and that you don't like in order for them to know that you truly love them, even if it goes against what they believe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that being said, with the questions being posed, would I go to a wedding? Absolutely not. Because if I went to a wedding, that means that my other children at home are going to a wedding, and I don't want them around that garbage at all whatsoever. I don't want them influenced by it. I don't want it around them. I don't want any of it around it. What were the other two questions?
The second one was adoption, and the third one was, would you let them move in with you, at least temporarily?
Adoption, I believe that
was children.
Would you support them adopting children?
No, because the truth of the matter is two people that are living in a fantasy fantastical delusion are not going to raise a child in reality. Straight up. They are going to raise their child in that same fantastical delusion, thinking and believing that they can, change their reality at will. and that isn't how reality works. As far as the letting them live with me, well, if I ain't going to go to their wedding and I ain't going to support them adopting children, I sure as hell ain't letting them live with me, because I can't have that around my children.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want someone else's lifestyle that I don't agree with, and not just me, that defies natural law and natural order, influencing my children. See, the thing is people keep saying that this ain't a choice. That what right do we have to tell people what they're doing? Well, you tell me how confusing kids isn't dangerous. How is that not dangerous to give children a false sense of reality and to confuse them into believing that reality isn't reality, and have them questioning realistic, real things that early on in life? If they're going to start questioning things that early on in life, then that's why we have the society we have today, because they question everything and believe nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And look, to a certain degree, we as adults should question some things and believe nothing. But there are certain constants that are a constant and are a fact of life that nobody can change, no matter how hard they try. A man can't give birth to a child, plain and simple. This thing of people trying to sit and say, well, trans men can. No, that is not a man. That is a woman. That trans man has female reproductive organs. And if you want to get technical about it, the pelvic area is gender specific. That is a anatomically that's an anatomical fact. You can't change it. It's gender specific. Men don't have the ability. So no, I cannot allow that around my children. I can't be involved with it. And unfortunately, as much as it pains me, I would have to let my child go for the betterment of the rest of my children and my family. And I'll land it there.
Saying that trans men can get pregnant is like a twisted gaslighting. That's how I look at it. But lost in translation. Does your acronym mean lit? Do you go by lit? I just wanted to ask you that before we go to our page.
Yeah, you can use that, man. That's fine.
Okay, I just thought about that, man.
Well,
we set stuff on fire over here.
So I said trans men earlier because, man, when that man, remember when it first came out, they said a man was pregnant. They didn't say what the person was. A trans man. They said a man is pregnant.
Right. They'll get you, hey man. You got to be paying attention.
Unless you're a criminal.
Like, bullshit.
Unless you're a trans criminal. Unless you're a trans criminal.
Here's the biggest thing. A trans man cannot please a woman like a real man can.
You better say it.
I'm sorry.
Also, Freezy. I don't know if you guys have been observing.
Right after you illuminate, we're going to go to Arpain.
I know Arpain's going to go, but I just want to throw this in there because it sort of goes with what Beautifully Animated was saying. I don't know if you guys have been seeing it, but there has been, not reported, but you know the violence that community is committing against children. So that's something to be aware of too. That's something that they don't speak on. So it was 2 women that just got arrested and convicted, and then it was another couple that was, I mean, the things they was doing to those children. The women taped them and glued it. I mean, it was just horrible. They taped his eyes or glued his eyes shut and did some other things to him.
Jesus.
Jesus. You know what? Hold up. People are going to be sick. It's not sexual. It's not just specific to a certain to the LGBT group.
These people are perverse.
Sick people are sick people.
Right.
You find them everywhere. Just like they have you believe that the gays are the only ones who have HIV. No, everybody can get it. It's a sexually transmitted disease. Anyone can get it. And that's why people were getting that STD so often, because they thought they were safe because they were straight. with that bullshit lie.
Yeah, and
I
it's
get sick of
about
the bullshit.
degenerate behavior. Again, that
Yeah.
was one of the things that I didn't want to get lost in translation. No pun intended. But I didn't. When Tate was saying that, and that was his whole thing was, regardless if you are straight or if you are homosexual, bisexual, whatever it is that your preference is, it's not about that. It's about the degenerate behavior. That's what it's about. So we could put it in a whole lot of different containers, but at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Now, I mean, we can go a lot deeper on, the causes and all these different things, but that was one of the things that was just saying, and I agree with you, beautifully animated. It is not gender specific. It is behavior specific. So yeah.
You know what? I want to touch what you said, JT.
Yeah,
and beautiful animated.
let me go before you
Go ahead.
Let me get R-Pain in there, and then Lit, you can go right after him. R-Pain, I don't know if you remember everything.
Yeah,
Wedding,
I've been
adoption, and moving
listening.
in.
I've been listening. I have my. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Loud
Yeah, I
and
have
clear.
my Atari phone on, so I was able to listen to some of the conversation. So I kind of follow. Listen, just to answer some of the questions. One, I wouldn't disown my kids. I would distance myself. That's the first one. But as far as weddings, I'm not walking my daughter down the aisle, neither one of them, to marry another woman. It's just not going to happen. As far as if they're old enough to adopt, I have nothing to do with that. If they can do it and they get approved for it, I won't approve of it, but I can't stop it. As far as living in my house, I told my daughters when they became of age, I said, even if you have a boyfriend, you ain't staying in my crib. Nobody's stroking in my house except me. Nobody. Nobody. I'm the only guy I can do that, so you got to find somewhere else to stay.
That's right.
If you want to have that.
Thank
So
you.
that was an easy one.
Thank you.
So,
all these degenerates on here talking about, oh, you wouldn't do it in this person's house. No, that's right. Your
Now,
house is
Mr. Bennett, you didn't hear me say nothing about that. So we talk about all these
the only
degenerates.
headboard I should be hearing is my own. I don't want to hear a headboard knocking against anything else.
Bennett knows who he's letting crash at his place and who he's not now.
But let me go ahead and finish. We are at war, whether we want to declare it or not. We're at war. We're at war for our children. We're at war for our future. And, a lot of people are historians. Everybody knows that all these empires fell once the degeneracy took over. And I don't care what anybody says. This same-sex thing is degeneracy. Now, I mean, whatever you do in the privacy of your home, I don't want to be involved with that. But trying to change laws, trying to force people to give you different pronouns. And I remember at the time when, Ebonics came out and somebody tried to get people to talk like idiots. Yeah, everybody just says, you know what? We ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. And you know what I'm saying? We just not doing that. Black people were in the forefront saying, we're not doing that. And so it's just no way I'm going to call a person, a girl or a guy, a they or a them. That's just not, I'm just not going to do it. It just sounds stupid. And they got Viz and Val and Vol and all. What the hell are you talking about? So, and the more we conform, and I just got to say it, the Black community has been a conduit for a lot of degeneracy. And all of these, every time you see something about a Black cause, you'll see attached to it as a rider, some LBGYN, whatever the hell, Skittles thing attached to it. And, with the Ron DeSantis thing, right? He had the 5 planks that he wouldn't let become part of the school curriculum. 4 out of 5 planks had something to do with LB, the LBs or whatever the hell they call themselves. What the hell, first white women took over affirmative action years ago, and that's why everybody's still trying to fight for it now. What the hell are you fighting for? We haven't been a beneficiary of affirmative action for like 30 years.
Facts.
So my whole thing is we need to move forward as Black folks and, heterosexual Black folks, just like I don't let the LBGYNs call me sis. I'm not no sis, this and that. I'm a heterosexual man. You can't name me something I don't want to be named. You know, so if it's a slur to you for me to call you the F word and all that kind of stuff, it's a slur to me for you to call me a cis man. You know, I don't like that. You know, so I'm gonna just land it there. I mean, we're in a war, and here's the kicker. I saw Jess Hilarious's thing, and she said, "Well, who's protecting us?" I said, "Well, sister, you know what? Chickens are coming home to roost. Get your ass up with the rest of your sisters and fight this battle because you let it go too far." So you want to define what a woman is? Where's your white sisters? Where's your Asian sisters? Where's your Latina sisters? Where's all of these women who bleed every month, letting some guy who doesn't want to be a man no more try to tell you what a woman is? That's not my fight. We told you not to do it. You stuck your middle finger up at us like you do to men all the time. Now the chickens are coming home to roost. Eat that son of a bitch. Smoke it a little bit with some cherry wood and all that kind of stuff and figure it out.
Well, okay then. Lit. We're gonna get lit in there, and I think Dr. Nakambe wants to have final thoughts from the panel, so I'll let him take it over after Lost in
Thank you.
Translation.
I wanted to touch on what JT and Beautiful Animated said. Just to say this, we wrestle not with flesh and blood. So your enemy knows how to change the uniform. Don't get caught up in the uniform. Pay attention to the behavior. What Martin Luther King said, he said, what did he say? That we judge people by the content of their character instead of the color of their skin. You need to watch these people behavior, man. That's what's going to give you a clue, because the enemy will change uniforms and put on the same uniform you got, but actually do something different. So my thing is just pay attention to what's going on and don't get so wrapped up in the labels that you see, because that'll lead you astray. That's all I have to say.
All right. Well, first, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
What's up? All right, man, this has been an awesome conversation. I would like to bring up a few points. Please note, this is, I mean, I'm positioned after you, but this is not to go against anyone, but here's some things that I think we should all consider. I was listening and I thought about the hypocrisy and some of the things that we were saying, because the title of the show is if we would let our children go, if we would let them go because we didn't agree with their lifestyle. We say we don't want others to take them from us, but we let them go. We say the school shouldn't do X, Y, and Z at that age. And if they become influenced and change their lifestyle, we then will consequence them for something that was out of their control, right? That's what we said, that is out of our control. The school is allowing this. Social media is allowing it. The law is allowing it. And then we're going to consequence them by letting them know you're not good enough to be in my home. It's like me catching the chicken pox or some major something. Probably, I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence. Me, and you don't catch gayness. Okay, so let me correct that. If we're going off the idea that the kids can be influenced, and then they practice and take on this lifestyle for those who are influenced, then we consequence them and put them out. We say, stand up, be a man, go to the meetings, but then we're first to get our tickets to go to Africa. I'm confused. Do we stay and fight, or do we save our money and get a plane ticket? Also, for those listening out there, you know, when certain things hit us, why does it hit us? Where does that passion and vigor come from? Where does the passion and vigor come from about a child, even though we're talking about letting go young adults and adults? But when a child gets hurt, how come we feel that so much? Are we really talking about our pain? Are we talking about the fact of the uncles and grandmothers and stepdads and neighbors and friends of the family and teachers and and pastors and local store owners and total strangers that have done something to us against our will. And now we're able to stand strong on that idea of never in the world am I ever going to let again something go against my will. This doesn't hit everyone. But I study human behavior. And when groups of people get together, there's a reason those certain groups of people get together. It's usually because they feel cut off, they feel abandoned, they feel unheard. And as a group tonight on this panel, we're talking about we don't feel heard. And then at the same time, some are saying, we don't give a damn about what those kids are going to say, and we're not going to listen. We won't show up at their wedding. The blood children that we produced, we won't show up at their wedding. Now, I'm not here to judge anyone for that, but I want us to think as a community-wide, no matter where you land in this conversation, be careful when you're making permanent decisions for something that might be temporary or for something that might be permanent and they feel comfortable with it. They are living the life. They're living every day the same way we talk about as Black people. People see me, I'm Black. The first thing they see, I don't have to discuss, I don't have to say that I'm Black. They see that I'm Black. And all that comes with it, okay? So for those who we say look like the drag queens and look like this and look like that, those people have to live in society every single day. I guess the bigger question is, if we're talking about the title for tonight is, do we let them go? So if we let them go or not, how do we coexist? How, if we're talking about that, this group influenced my child and now my child has gone off into this world that I don't approve of, that group, then how do we coexist? We can't go backwards. If we're talking about not the ones who were influenced, the ones who grew up and said, I feel I am. It's non-negotiable. I am. Those who grew up that way, how do we coexist? How do we coexist? We can't go backwards and say, at what point did you feel that way? Let's see if we can get rid of that itch for you. We can't go backwards. So how do we live together? And if they're your blood and you say you want a legacy, well, if it's tainted, I don't want it. And I challenge those who say that quickly. Is that about your attachment issue? You know, there's the one who could take the dog out in the backyard with a shovel and not think for a second. They were doing us a favor, right? They were doing that little kid, doing a person a favor. And they're the ones that will hold on to that sick puppy forever. The ones who can let go quickly, just do some soul searching. I bet you have some attachment issues going on. I bet you have some abandonment issues going on. I bet you have some abuse situations going on. Or you could just be an advocate like no other. But then look into where that advocacy comes from. Because if you can advocate for that, why can't you advocate for your own son? If you can advocate for this, the hell with, I'm not going to let these, then why not advocate for your own blood? So that's something for us to consider. It's more than just let go. It's more than just move away. Because until you get the resources, just move. Until there's a reality that you can just take off. Until there's a reality that you can grow up with this person, that look on that dad's face, shock, right? And we say, yeah, after all those years, shock the father. We'll reverse. After all those years, how do we just let them go? Again, some people can do it. But I wonder, what was your attachment about? Was it because you get, as long as you get your way? I'll land with this, a couple more things to think about. If we are talking about people who felt this way and say, I am, this is who I am, how can we support them? How can we support them? Because if we're saying we're going to cast them off, who do you think they're going to go cheerlead with? And who do you think they're going to go support? And what mission do you think they're going to push? They're going to push the ones that says, thank you for recognizing me. Thank you for acknowledging me. Thank you for seeing me for who I am. And we're going to go support each other. So we may be at this for a long time. Do you want to show up at your kid's wedding? It's up to you. How many weddings do you hope that they have? Well, if they go that route, I don't care how many they have. So you rob the kid and you rob yourself. Please consider that. They're your blood. Do they adopt? At some point, can you not have conversations? This is just a question. It doesn't have to work this way. At some point, can you have those conversations? I wanted my son to play football. I told him that. I groomed him. I signed him up for coach this. I signed him up for that team. I. Oh, my little shorty was in a sense little league. Huh. So you introduced it to them since little league. But the second it goes against what you want, and they're your children, right? But please remember at some point, where's the wiggle room? Son, that's not what I hoped for you. Daughter, that's not what I hoped for you. This is what our family was about. I'm going to stand on that. But if you're homeless tonight, if you're stranded for the night, if it's a winter storm, if it's a whatever, to the point where I can't let you stay, do they cause that much damage? I'm not talking about letting an alcoholic in your house and you have to check to see if you still got your wallet. I'm not talking about the meth head or the fentanyl person talking about you can trust me to spend the night at your house. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the thief. I'm talking about the person who chooses to love a person in their own way. They're not going to come in the room and touch you. Are they going to touch you? And even if they did come with their heterosexual partner, would they be touching you? So just something to think about when we're quick to discard our own blood. If we want to go the spiritual route, aren't we forgiven for all of our sins? The ones that we know about and the ones that we don't know about. So before we discard someone, before we discredit them, think about where that energy is coming from, where that pain is coming from, where that passion is coming from, where that vigor is coming from. And when it's about you and your pain, please work on that pain before you then repeat the same cycle with your kid and they pass it on 2 or 3 more generations. If this is about your pain, do the work. If it's about you just don't like it and you don't agree with it, cool. One likes Pepsi, one likes Coke. I ain't talking no damn, I know we're not talking soda. But as long as the person doesn't touch you or try to force you or touch your kid or try to force your kid. So in closing, I want to thank the entire network and all the people who listened in tonight. Hopefully we were able to give you something positive, something to chew on, something to think about, something to fight for. Something to fight for. You don't have to back down. Be a parent, but don't be a wishy-washy parent. Don't be a bandwagon parent. If you're going parent, parent. And if you're worried about one kid, can we not worry about all the kids? If we're worried about tomorrow's future, can we worry about all of the future? If you're going to stay and fight, don't try and get the ticket to Africa. So again, if there were any concerns, problems, any issues with what was said, please hit BMU up, contact him, any of the panelists. We don't mind having the conversations. That's why we were here. We don't mind having the conversations. It'll be unfair and unjust if you push another fight where we didn't even get a chance to respond to your concerns. So because of the sensitivity of the conversation, I ask that you address any concerns with us so we can help resolve it. I don't think anything that was said tonight, but that's my perspective. I don't think anything that was said tonight was intended to hurt others. It's just coming from where people stand and what they feel about it. Hopefully you get a chance to talk about how you feel through the chat and through any other channels that you want to join us. Thank you again for allowing us the different perspectives. There's no one right perspective. There's no one way of parenting. BMU, thank you for the opportunity. I'll land it with you and peace.
All right. So, guys, before we get out of here, just to acknowledge a few things that's going on this week on the Black Men Unfiltered Network. On tomorrow, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 1-on-1 Sports Show. We'll be talking about the Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fight, the huge mega fight. They say it's the fight of the century, guys. So they'll be talking about that tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Right after that, you'll have Unapologetic with Mandrell and Shushu. They will be talking about This Is the Reason You're Not Getting Laid. That'll be tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you tune into that one. And then on Thursday, Dr. Nkumbe, who is here with me right now, him and Coach K will be exploring the mind of Carly Russell and how to improve your mental health. So they'll be doing it on Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then on Friday, Barbershop, all the men, get ready. On Friday, the title of the show is You Will Either Babysit a Broke Man or Miss a Successful One. We'll have that conversation on Friday with the barbershop. So guys, get ready for that. I'll be emailing you and sending you all the links for that show as well. For tonight, guys, thank you for a great conversation. I bowed out because I wanted everybody else to have their perspective. I'm always on, right? But when we have people that want to have a perspective, there's no way possible I'm going to have people sitting in the back when I can have everybody up front. I can talk like I'm talking right now at the end. And so I appreciate everybody. I appreciate what you guys did for the show tonight. The conversation, we'll continue to have conversations about things that nobody else is having conversations about, and 98.5% of the conversations in the YouTube stratosphere is about relationships. Well, we got to talk about all types of relationships. We got to talk about how they affect us. We got to talk about our children. We got to talk about marriage. We got to talk about everything. And so I appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys are undefeated. Thank you so much for your information. Thank you for everything that you've done tonight and carrying the conversation in the chat. Thank you to the moderators who moderated tonight. Lady Novoa, Von Bryant, Black David, so on and so forth. The people who moderated tonight in the chat. Thank you so much for keeping the chat going. And then the people who came on tonight, Grooming and Review, welcome him to the family, man. I mean, you're gonna see a lot of him. So thank you. I want to thank him for being here tonight. Reckless Ray, No Captivity with Freezy. Mr. Bennett, beautifully animated, illuminated revelation, my guy, Angry Snowman. Thank you for being here. Our Pain, all right. We already raised it. We up to $2,000. Our Pain, I think that's enough to get you some new Wi-Fi and a new phone tonight. Dr. Nkumbe, JT with What We Know podcast, and all of us, and also in the back is my guy Black David, who engineers everything, right? It's one thing to produce these things, thumbnails, make sure everybody's good, make sure everybody's coming, sending all the emails, everything. But engineering these shows, like tomorrow, I'll be off with the family. And Black David will be engineering the shows on Wednesday and Thursdays. It's 3 total shows. So shout out to him because he's also a busy man as well. And he's coming over to help me out as well. So I would just want to say I appreciate everyone who makes this possible. All right. And Dr. Nkumbe, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said violins. Shout out for having to come with BMU Network. All right. Let me give him the violin. After that, we'll say good night. And we will see you guys on tomorrow at 7 o'clock. If you like sports, get on over because I know Mr. Bennett, if you ain't busy, I know you're going to be over there talking about that Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fight tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be a huge fight. I did not know it was going to be that expensive to pay for the fight. Damn. But anyway, I'll do the violin for the $5 super chat and for the other super chats that were given tonight as well. And we'll be up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Let me play it for you guys.
Oh, let me slow it down. Rapping with the singing, I be swinging. You can get it all free like welfare. Yeah. Back to the beginning, know what I told ya. I got 2 degrees, now I'm dumb rich. This sound like some 718 shit. The living weirdo on the same shit. Damien, let's go violinist.
I'm on the way to the promised land, no contraband. I'm an honest man, I'm coming
like the Red Sea. Man, I'm from heaven, I'm here with my brother, and the volume's 11, now we're getting rowdy.